Our female lead is reincarnated into a romance novel, but unfortunately, she ends up as a squirrel instead of a noble lady. To return to being human, she must absorb enough mana within 50 days. Because of this, she approaches Prince Johan, the strongest mage of the Highland family. According to the original story, he will later become a villain due to the mistreatment of his stepmother. After interacting with Johan, she feels the warmth inside him. Can the female lead change the plot with her love and care, preventing Johan from becoming a villain? Let's follow along. One morning at a luxurious and magnificent castle, the mother calls out affectionately, "Tezin. This is your birthday present. Do you know what this is?" Tezin is very excited to see the tiny squirrel inside the cage. It looks so cute. "This is impossible. It's a spirit beast," Ella replies with a smile. "That's right, you recognized it. I specially brought it from the temple." Tezin is very surprised. "Really? I heard it's very expensive." The mother says gently, "For a son with such excellent magical abilities, shouldn't I be able to do this for you?" The squirrel glares at them uncomfortably. Tezin jumps up and down in joy. "This is the best gift ever. I've been reincarnated into a romance novel, as the mother of a villain who is only 11 years old. Those things make the squirrel extremely bewildered. I have to be his birthday present. The squirrel closes its eyes tightly and thinks, even if I have to transmigrate into any role, why does it have to be such an absurd one? And worse, I might have to end up in this cage. Worst, really the worst. In the blink of an eye, I turned into a squirrel named Spirit Beast. I found myself here in the Duchy of Highland. A famous mage family led by the strongest people, and the best mages of their generation, but their power comes at a price. The stronger a mage, the harder it is to control their excessive magic, causing them extreme pain. The only one who can soothe that is the Spirit Beast. Having a Spirit Beast means possessing extremely excellent magic. Therefore, the Duchess of Highland, Ella, stood up. She wanted to show everyone her son's boundless magic, so she needed a Spirit Beast. The Spirit Beast sits in a corner, musing. Although his magic isn't that remarkable, it's only enough to scoop water from a dry well. Ella reaches out to the Spirit Beast and instructs her son, "Alright, take care of it in your room, Tezin. I've imprinted the ownership mark on it, so there's no way to escape the duchy. Come here." The obedient Spirit Beast quickly jumps into Ella's hand. "Look at it, it's from this, isn't it?" The Spirit Beast sits dumbfounded. "It's just that I don't want to wallow in despair, so I'll play the role of a noble gift just this once." Seeing Tezin hesitating, she is a little curious. "What, is there something wrong with him?" Tezin pouts and says, "An animal that can understand words is a little creepy, isn't it?" Those words shock the Spirit Beast. "What did he just say? Is he mocking me?" Ella explains, "It's not just any animal, it's a Spirit Beast. I told you, dear. Besides, according to legend, Spirit Beasts absorb a lot of magic and can even transform into humans." Tezin is still hesitant. "I think with my magic, it won't take long to achieve human form, but if it becomes human and doesn't understand words, that would be troublesome." He looks at the Spirit Beast with a treacherous expression. "Human form? So, I'll finally have another slave to order around, won't I?" The Spirit Beast is stunned to be considered a slave. She gets so angry that she goes crazy. How can he think of that while talking about human form? Moreover, turning into a human with your magic is impossible. Tezin snorts proudly, "Consider it an honor to meet me, servant." The Spirit Beast looks at him with resentful eyes. "I want to smack that guy's head, but geez. These short arms are working against me. That's the pain in this life of this thing. Having to see this guy every day is driving me crazy. But anyway, being in the Highland estate might be beneficial for me. Because in the highest room of the West Tower of the Duke's mansion, there is the real villain of this novel and also the strongest mage of the Highland family. A truly extraordinary mage. If it's him, human form might not just be a dream anymore." A sudden announcement makes the Spirit Beast and Ella pay attention. "Madam, someone is coming from the tower." She wonders, the tower? What happened? The butler standing outside reports, "No, it's nothing important. The young master fainted again from a high fever like last time." The Spirit Beast tries to listen to the situation. "Wait a minute. If it's the young master in the tower," Ella whispers, "is it that one again? He hasn't died, has he?" Her words shock the Spirit Beast. The butler replies, "No. He only lost consciousness temporarily. His life is not in danger." Ella nods in satisfaction. "It should be like that." Tezin says to the Spirit Beast, "My arms are tired. Hurry up and get lost." Ella bluntly orders the butler, let him rest and make sure not to prepare a meal for today. He quickly complies, understood, I'll do it right away. At the same time, the spirit beast jumps down from the table. She stands from afar, secretly observing their conversation. Ella puts her hand on her son's shoulder and says, I'm leaving, Tezin. He also doesn't forget to wish his mother a safe trip. Ella's biased treatment shocks the spirit beast. What? Even if he's just an adopted son, how can she treat a child like that? She's really heartless. It seems like it's not a rare occurrence for him, but his situation is worse than I thought. Maybe I should bring something to him later. Honestly, this story is really great. At least feed that child. Tezin calls out wearily, hey, slave, why don't you perform for me a bit? The spirit beast gets furious when she sees herself being looked down upon like this. What slave, slave? If you were me, would you do it? Seeing the spirit beast standing still without moving, Tezin hesitates, so, it doesn't understand what I'm saying? Should I train it or do something else? Hearing this, the spirit beast gets so scared that she shudders all over. This brat, judging by how he treats the servants, will clearly beat me badly. I should avoid getting involved with him as much as possible before things get worse. Tezin pokes the spirit beast, hey, slave, didn't you hear me calling you? Are you asleep? He clicks his tongue, showing dissatisfaction. Boring. I guess it's just an animal that knows how to eat and sleep. The spirit beast replies inwardly, I used to be human, you idiot. No matter what happens, I will return to being human. It's late at night, and the spirit beast sluggishly sits up. It's time to act. She turns her head to look at Tezin, who is fast asleep. Go into your dreams, you troublesome thing. Check the supplies. The spirit beast takes out some of her food. Then she puts it in a bag and struggles to drag it. In the blink of an eye, she successfully escapes the room. With nimble feet, the spirit beast runs through dangerous places. Passing over the towering walls, is this the luck of being a squirrel? After a while of searching, the spirit beast arrives at the place she needs to go. This is it. Looking through the window, she sees a young man writhing, fighting against the pain. His face is covered in sweat. Suddenly, he notices something and turns his head to look at the window with a blank expression. A squirrel? The spirit beast outside smiles and waves to him. Johann Arad freezes for a few seconds. Then he slowly walks towards the window. What is the little squirrel doing here? The spirit beast keeps trying to signal to him. Johann Arad quickly realizes, are you trying to say something? Wait a minute. As he says this, he opens the latch of the window. The spirit beast is eagerly waiting for the moment she can help Johann Arad. Unexpectedly, she realizes that something is wrong. The opening window pushes her backward. Wait. The spirit beast starts to falter, unable to stand firm. Thinking that her life is about to end absurdly. She cries out, no way. I haven't even mastered basic magic, let alone turned into a human. Save the little squirrel. Luckily, Johann Arad manages to reach out and catch her in time. He apologizes in a fluster, are you okay? The spirit beast takes a long breath and calms down after returning from the brink of death. Her whole body is still trembling with fear. I'm still alive. But this close feeling, is it because of Johann's magic? With just a light touch, I can feel an incredibly terrifying power. The young man asks the spirit beast with concern, are you hurt anywhere? She looks up at Johann Arad with empathetic eyes. His magical flow is running wildly. How much pain must he be going through? I have to quickly calm it down. She tries to reach forward with her short arms, then closes her eyes tightly, feeling this moment. The magical flow in Johann's body continuously emanates. The young man gradually feels it too. The magic is stabilizing. It doesn't hurt anymore. So, both of them just enjoy this healing moment. No one says a word to each other. After a while, Johann speaks up, you are a spirit beast. The girl nods in confirmation. Johann is a little curious, with the Arad mark, you must belong to Tezin. He laughs naively as he realizes, you can't talk, can you? I'm so stupid. The spirit beast stands silently, contemplating. Is it because he's still a child? For a villain like that, he seems a bit innocent. Maybe he's also a bit cute. The most evil villain in this novel, Johann Arad. Back when Johann was still a child, his mother, the former duchess, passed away. Duke Hyland remarried Ella, bringing Tezin into the family. Soon after, the Duke was drafted to participate in the war, abandoning Johann when he was still at an age where he needed love and affection. Even worse, at the age of 10, his power was awakened, leading to unbearable pain. Ella wanted Tezin Toror to become the heir, seeing that the situation was not good. She pretended that Johan was sick and imprisoned him in a tower, living in pain and isolation. Johan was eventually sent to the battlefield as part of Ella's plan. 5 years from now, Johan will return home in victory as a hero, ending the brutal war. And Johan's return marks the beginning of the tragedy. The most beautiful woman in the empire, Miss Muriel, was given to Johan as a reward for being a war hero. Johan fell in love with the female lead at first sight and craved affection from her, but her heart already belonged to the prince. He couldn't win her over, the beginning of the disaster. Driven by jealousy, Johan eventually became a villain who couldn't tolerate anything, using every means to separate them. The spirit beast makes a bewildered face and wonders, how can such a gentle and kind boy become the most evil villain in the story? I can't believe it. Johan sits, clasping his hands together, and suddenly says the word, sorry. It feels so good to touch you like this, so can I pet you a little more? The spirit beast is very surprised. Seeing that he's not like some people, he's so sweet. Johan shyly continues, do you allow me to? Thank you. He gently strokes the spirit beast's head and looks at her with affection. Johan doesn't hesitate to pour his heart out to the spirit beast. I've been here alone in this place for a long time, and I think this is the first time someone has been by my side for so long when I'm in pain. Just now, I was in so much pain and so lonely. I was thinking about how wonderful it would be if I had never been born, or if I could have been born as a normal person. Until you appeared, Johan's life seemed to be dyed pink, full of vitality. Thank you, for the first time I don't feel pain or loneliness anymore. Thank you very much. A bright smile gradually appears on Johan's handsome face. His smile is like the dazzling sunlight shining directly into the eyes of the spirit beast. Why does this face make my protective instinct rise up? I only plan to absorb magic quickly and become human, that's all I thought about. Johan asked shyly, so, can you come tomorrow? You don't have to calm me down, just playing with me or visiting me is enough. Those sincere words move the spirit beast to tears. Of course, since I plan to come here anyway, I will visit every day. Johan smiles happily upon receiving the spirit beast's approval. Thank you. She smiles and thinks, in this short time, I can feel the gentleness and compassion from this boy. Maybe Johan became someone who doesn't hesitate to harm others because he has suffered too much pain and loneliness for too long, but if someone shows him love and care, will he not become a villain in the future? I don't know how much I can help as just a squirrel, but since I'm here, I have to try my best. I will protect this purity and fragility. With that, the spirit beast takes out a chestnut and gives it to Johan. He asks in confusion, is that for me? The spirit beast slowly moves forward. Then she sits in Johan's hand. Thank you. I will cherish it. Starting tomorrow night, I will open the window to wait for you. So, you can come whenever you want. The spirit beast sways her body in extreme joy. So lovely, see you tomorrow. With that, she quickly climbs down to the ground. Johan secretly stands here, observing. He gently taps his hand on the table and sits, lost in thought. I was in so much pain just a minute ago. Is this the soothing power of the spirit beast? A spirit beast of Tezin's. I think I'll take it. One bright morning at the castle. The spirit beast is fast asleep on the soft mattress, while Tezin is diligently reading. Spirit beasts capable of transforming into human form are therefore given human-related titles. Female and male are used for animals, women and men are used for humans. For example, when referring to gender, instead of female or male, they are called women or men. You can tell the gender of a spirit beast by the shape of their tail. Is that so? Let me check your gender, slave. Tezin violently grabs the spirit beast's tail. She can only struggle in panic. What? What's happening while I'm sleeping? My tail is about to break off, let go. Tezin reads and observes, judging by the pattern, you're a woman. No, a female. The spirit beast is completely stunned. Really? Tezin stares at the spirit beast and asks, so, that means you'll turn into a girl later? How old are you now? She can only sullenly reply in her mind, how would I know, you idiot? Tezin puts her down on the table and says, I hope you're older than me. That way, you'll know how to help me more. If you're too young, you won't be able to understand what others are saying, that's too much trouble. The spirit beast hates Tezin more and more. Seriously, once I successfully become human, the relationship between me and you will end, you know? I will tell Johan to wipe out Highland and leave this place immediately. Johan, he's a gentle and kind child. Because I will help him, so he won't refuse my request. So, when I become human, everything will fall into place. While daydreaming, the spirit beast cries before the harsh reality. Become human? How can I do that? I can't live long on these nuts. I don't know exactly what the conditions are for becoming human, but if I continue to absorb Johan's magic, I might be able to find a clue. The spirit beast lies on the mattress with a gloomy face. I really want to become human right now. I want to get away from that jerk Tezin. That night, Johan sits under the moonlight, looking at the chestnut that the spirit beast gave him. For several hours, he just sits there. The image of the spirit beast happily appears in his mind. That squirrel. Isn't she coming today? He cherishes the chestnut in his hand and thinks, I should have pretended to be weaker. Suddenly, a strange sound makes him pay attention. The tiny hand of the spirit beast peeks out in front of the balcony. In just a moment, she climbs up with an eager expression. As soon as she sees Johan, she keeps jumping to welcome him. He also smiles happily, looking at the spirit beast. Then he says a warm greeting, hello, spirit beast. You came again today. The spirit beast looks at Johan with glittering eyes, hello, you look so cute today. Johan suddenly puts his hand in front of the spirit beast. Gently asking her, was it dangerous coming here? It must have been hard to climb over those hard stone walls. Stay here, okay? Johan puts the spirit beast on the bed. I want you to be as comfortable as possible, but in this place, only the bed is the most suitable. Johan's warm actions move the spirit beast. How can he be so nice? She slaps her hand hard on the pillow as if signaling to him, here, quickly lie down here. In return, I will provide top-notch service. Johan understands and immediately replies, me too? I'm okay. But the spirit beast insists that he lie down. Patience should be prioritized. Quickly lie down. Johan can only obediently follow, okay, I'll lie down. You're so kind. After lying down, she gently touches his forehead. Meanwhile, Johan happily confides, you know, I wanted to return the acorn you gave me, so I thought of a name for you. Do you want to hear it? The spirit beast stands still in surprise. Thinking about it, I don't have a name yet. Tezin always calls me slave every day to the point where I'm going crazy, but now this beautiful thing only chooses beautiful words to say. Johan seriously asks again, do you allow me to? With the spirit beast's consent, he happily says, how about Paul? That name is like a bucket of cold water splashed on the spirit beast's face. Seeing her expression, Johan can only smile awkwardly, you don't like it? He says a series of other names, such as Tom, Caliban, maybe Dave, but all of them are not to the spirit beast's liking. What kind of naming is that? Johan becomes worried. So, you don't like any of the names above? What should I do? Those are all the names I've thought of. After listening, the spirit beast is also startled and falls over. I'll let you off because you're too cute. Next time, think of a cuter name, okay? Johan cries in pain, okay, I'll think of more. But what the spirit beast is more concerned about is that it has been a while since she started stabilizing, but his magic is still flowing. Maybe because I've experienced it once, I'm absorbing a large amount of magic, more than yesterday. Feeling that if it continues, it will overflow. I shouldn't continue. Let's stop here for today. She slowly retracts her hand. Johan has fallen asleep unknowingly. The spirit beast breathes a sigh of relief. Today is another day of successfully absorbing magic. Suddenly, she feels something strange happening in her body. A dazzling light shines directly on the spirit beast. Wait, why is this happening when I stopped absorbing? Hold tight. The spirit beast's short arms unexpectedly turn into soft hands. Long, smooth hair also unexpectedly appears. This could be. Johan wakes up groggily. He widens his eyes in shock when he sees the scene in front of him, so he immediately sits up. Unexpectedly, the spirit beast has transformed from a tiny squirrel into a beautiful girl. Johan says in a panic, who are you? Before this dilemma, the spirit beast does not know how to explain this, She is even more surprised, my voice can talk? I am surprised when I see my hand, now I am a human. It sounds like a kid with a small hand, unbelievable. Johan grabs his blanket. Finally covering the spirit beast. He is so shy that he turned his face away from here, cover her quickly. The spirit beast smiles awkwardly and answers, thank you. Johan cannot believe in her eyes, what happened? The girl explains and blushes, spirit beast can transform into a human. As soon as she finished speaking, she immediately transformed back into a squirrel shape to demonstrate to Johan. An unexpected thing has come that makes the spirit beast extremely dismayed. Back in Tezin's room, he was still diligently reading, spirit beasts that absorb a large amount of mana in a short time can temporarily transform into humans. However, this is only temporary. To achieve complete transformation, they must absorb mana continuously for 50 days. If they transform into humans before the end of 50 days. The beast spirit sat on this side, trying hard to prick up its ears to listen. All the mana they have accumulated will be nullified, it said. The beast spirit, upon hearing this, thrashed about in frustration. You should have read that sooner. I've already experienced that. Tezen sat scratching his head in confusion. Annoying, does it really take 50 days? Slave, from now on you have to keep careful track of the days. 50 days, okay? 50 days, the beast spirit put on a determined expression. Alright, now tell me how to properly absorb mana. Tezen continued to read more information, while she took out paper and pen to carefully take notes. When you feel like you are absorbing too much mana, don't stop and continue to absorb to preserve the mana that you have absorbed. The beast spirit suddenly remembered, so I should have continued absorbing yesterday, not stopped. Great, I understand now, next time I definitely will. Tezen boastfully praised himself to the high heavens. Hey slave, you're really lucky, it's really rare to find a mage who can turn a beast spirit into a human. And that rare mage is your master. The beast spirit turned away with an attitude of dissatisfaction. You're done here. 50 days, if I absorb Johann's mana every day for those 50 days I can become human. Johann should also know this information to make cooperation easier. Is there a way to let him know? An idea sprung to mind when the beast spirit looked at the book. It's this. That night Johann stared at her wide-eyed. Little squirrel, what is this? After taking the piece of paper the beast spirit handed over, he secretly guessed, a letter. It's a page from the book. But why are you giving this to me? The beast spirit began to use body language to communicate with Johann, for me and you who cannot communicate. At first he was still clueless. What are you trying to tell me? The beast spirit tried to describe as easily as possible. Johann hesitated and guessed, you beast spirit. You read the book. It seemed the two of them were gradually catching up to each other's frequency. When he saw the beast spirit point to the symbol on Johann's body, he quickly guessed she was referring to Highland. She nodded in confirmation to Johann's words. Then tried to portray Tezen's fierce expression. Finally Johann could understand the beast spirit's meaning. So you mean I should learn about beast spirits, with Tezen's books? Seeing the beast spirit jump onto his shoulder, Johann worriedly asked, what's wrong? And she kept praising him. As expected, he's very smart and understands body language very well. She gently rubbed Johann's flushed cheeks. He chuckled with delight. Are you praising me? It tickles. Then Johann looked at the piece of paper in his hand, to understand the truth about beast spirits. So if you absorb mana for 50 days you can become a human. Johann thought to himself, so after 50 days I'll see that image again. Unconsciously he blurted out, how lovely. Johann was startled when he remembered the beast spirit sitting next to him. Nothing at all. And so he kept chuckling to himself the whole time. I really hope I can see it one more time. A few days later Tezen frantically realized, what the heck? Something's wrong with this book. He immediately picked it up and interrogated the beast spirit. Hey slave, do you know about this? She nonchalantly muttered to herself, if you want, just ask hundreds of times. Do you think I'll answer? Tezen began to doubt his existence. What's happening? Is my mana going crazy when I sleep? Life with power is really complicated. I can't even get a peaceful sleep. Tezen rummaged through every nook and cranny in the room. I can't find it anywhere. Where did it fly off to? The beast spirit remained still and silent, not paying any attention. Are you enjoying your monologue? Tezen kept complaining, this is driving me crazy. How strong does my power have to be? The beast spirit could only sigh in exasperation. I've heard this so many times it's like ASMR now. Raindrops fell pattering outside the window, the rain growing heavier. Tezen turned his head to look with a delighted expression. Rain. He immediately grabbed the beast spirit and said, hey slave, don't sleep, come here. I'll show you something interesting. The beast spirit was a little puzzled. Why is he so excited about the rain? She put on a very grumpy expression, glaring at Tezen. Based on what he likes, there's nothing good about it. The expression on the beast spirit's face seemed to completely change as soon as she saw Johann walking alone in the cold rain, while Tezen was extremely gleeful to witness that scene. Look, on rainy days, that patient will start taking walks. The beast spirit was very worried about Johann's health. Conversely, Tezen had no humanity at all, doesn't look very happy. The doctor said it would be very good to let him get wet in the rain. Because the patient has a high fever, and clearly this is the perfect treatment method. The beast spirit felt indignant for Johann. What kind of treatment method is that? A child had to suffer because of his own magic. To let them do this monstrous treatment, everyone's gone mad, no wonder it's so distorted. She couldn't help but worry, what to do now? His skin looks so pale. If I just let the situation continue like this, I'm afraid it will only get worse. Is there a way to help? Suddenly Tezen threw the beast spirit aside and happily ran off. Alright, so I can go help treat this poor brother's illness. She became a squirrel full of resentment. Treat, you'll only cause more pain. When Tezin goes down there, things will only get worse. Need to quickly help him, can't know how much, so just take as much as possible. Put it in your mouth, little one. The beast spirit tried to stuff all the food she could carry. And immediately went to the window. Wait a bit, Johan. I'll come save you. Inside the castle, Ella also secretly observed everything. She asked the doctor, no matter what, I still think that kid looks healthier than normal. Is this treatment method really effective? The doctor bowed his head in response, I apologize, but his condition has really improved these past few days, but you don't need to worry. Lowering body temperature is a special measure for witches. Because it will rain until tonight, the treatment will last longer than usual, it will quickly return to its original state. Ella gently praised, indeed you are a wonderful doctor, I believe you will continue to take good care of Johan, you may leave. The doctor respectfully replied, yes madam. Ella put on a mysterious expression, Johan Highland is a thorn in my side. When I first learned you were born with magic, my blood ran cold, I almost thought about eliminating you immediately. I had to let you live for many years to prevent any information related to the death of the Duke's heir. Now because of the oath of war I can't eliminate you. Oath of war. When the war drags on, weakening the empire's power, that is the emperor's response for fear of the nobility's influence increasing. The head of a noble family is forced to participate in the war. If they die while fighting, another member of the family must replace them. I can't send Tezin to such a terrible place, so I have no choice but to keep you alive to replace him when the battle ends. She secretly thanked Johan. Thanks to that, I can only cling to this meaningless life. The maidservant held Johan's hand, pulling him along quickly. He raised his weak voice and said, wait, please slow down a bit. She could only explain, we still have a long way to go, if we're too slow, there will be trouble. Please cooperate more with this method of the doctor, young master. Then Johan dragged his feet under the rain, the beast spirit stood on a branch nearby, observing. Looking at it like this, the situation is even more serious, he looks so painful and no one shows any sympathy. She took all the food she brought, then strongly said, it's okay Johan, in the original story, you may not have any allies. But now, the beast spirit held the chestnut tightly in her hand and got into a ready position. I will fight alongside you. As soon as she finished speaking, she threw the chestnut with all her strength towards the maidservant. The flying chestnut hit them, causing them great pain. The beast spirit's throw was extremely accurate, not missing a single shot. The two maidservants hugged their faces in pain, my eyes. Seeing the acorn rolling on the ground, Johan was a little surprised. He bent down to pick it up and take a look, an acorn. This can only be, Johan looked around. Seeing the beast spirit's body language, he secretly guessed, don't just stand there, hurry up and leave, is that what you mean? Right, now is the perfect time to escape. Seeing Johan leave, the two maidservants shouted, young master, where are you going, come back here. He ignored their calls and tried his best to run forward. After seeing Johan safely return to the house, the beast spirit breathed a sigh of relief at the glorious victory, a perfect hit, I'm really amazing, didn't expect I could do that, talented maybe. Since Johan has returned to the tower safely, should I go back too? Tezin's voice suddenly rang out, startling her, wait, where did he go? It was very difficult for me to get water. The two maidservants could only lower their heads to apologize, it's because I was distracted for a moment that he returned to the tower. Tezin clenched his hands and said in an annoyed tone, what I'm saying is. Why did you let him escape, while saying that he splashed water on the two maidservants? These things only, Ella stepped out to soothe Tezin's anger, stop it, he immediately turned his head and called out to his mother. But such a rare opportunity for entertainment, but it was ruined by these people, Ella gently reminded, it's just entertainment Tezin. You want to treat your brother, right? Tezin immediately understood, yes, I want to help treat him more, the mother smiled in satisfaction, alright, I understand, but don't be too disappointed that you can't see your brother today. Tomorrow when the special guests arrive, I will call Johan. It would be more interesting to greet the guests with your brother tomorrow, wouldn't it? Tezin's face became much brighter, if it's tomorrow then the guest is. Are you talking about the Duchess Meadist and that young lady? The beast spirit was even more shocked to hear about the young lady Meadist. Johan has met the heroine, the beast spirit completely panicked at this information. The beast spirit hugged her pale face and remembered, according to the original story, Mary was supposed to meet after the war ended, maybe because I helped Johan today, something went wrong. They're definitely planning to humiliate him tomorrow because he didn't carry out today's plan correctly, they'll bring him out to compare to Tezin, and completely humiliate him. How cruel. At this time downstairs, Ella instructed her son, alright Tezin, tomorrow, show off your magical talent, and bring that beast spirit along too. The beast spirit was so scared her hair stood on end, they're bringing me along too. In the evening, Johan had a rare moment of peace, he opened the window slightly, breathing wearily. Maybe it's because I was forced to be in the rain, but why am I so strange? Little squirrel will help me feel better, so just need to endure a little longer. Johan's eyes were full of fatigue. But then suddenly startled awake, he looked down at the acorn in his palm. Initially, I thought about using it practically. If I can stabilize magic with the beast spirit and use that magic again, finally overthrow this painful duchy. But when I realized little squirrel needs my magic to become human, I felt helped. As long as the benefits of both match, little squirrel will always come back to me. That's why I always convince myself with little squirrel. We're both just using each other. This afternoon, the beast spirit saved Johan. Seeing it screaming on the tree surprised Johan a little. That's what I always remind myself. Just then, golden feet appeared in Johan's sight, but, immediately, it always came to help me first. Little squirrel jumped onto Johan's shoulder. I'm here. Today, thank you very much. Thanks to you, I was less wet in the rain. I feel my body. Johan coughed a few times, making the beast spirit worry. It made some sounds, although he didn't understand, but Johan knew little squirrel was worried about him. It's okay. Can I trust? For the first time in my life, can I call someone? My only ally. After a while, little squirrel sat neatly, silently watching Johan rest. His magic has stabilized, but the fever. As if being sick wasn't bad enough, but tomorrow he has to be humiliated in front of outsiders. Showing off Johan in this state in front of everyone is basically announcing that the eldest son of Highland is not worthy of inheritance. Always like that, everything still goes as Ella wants. Tezin's position will become more secure. And I'll have to witness this disaster tomorrow. Little squirrel shook her head in disgust. Tezin, that idiot, as if I'm not annoyed enough. Today was unbearable. He even put on a facial mask to impress Mary. Just thinking about it is too much. Should I leave footprints on his face when he's sleeping? His face will become shiny, then the footprints will stand out. Thinking about Tezin screaming like he's being slaughtered makes little squirrel happy. Perfect, it's time to attack and put these footprints on Tezin's face. Little squirrel excitedly stood up. Johan immediately asked, are you going to leave? You haven't been here for long. Looking at that pitiful face, the beast spirit felt like she committed a terrible crime. It's all for your own good. Johan kept putting on that pitiful face. Little squirrel couldn't carry out that evil plot anymore. She ran back to Johan's hand. I guess I can't help it. Tomorrow won't be a great day. At least I should comfort him before leaving. Little squirrel rubbed her hand, signaling, do you want me to open my hand? Then it lay on its back. What does this mean? It pointed to its stomach. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and try it. You'll feel better. You want me to rub your stomach? Johan followed what the beast spirit requested. It's really warm and comfortable. Little squirrel, I feel the same. Little squirrel lay sprawled out for Johan to rub its stomach. I wish you could be with me forever. My squirrel. When beast spirits soothe mages, the mages will develop a strong sense of ownership towards the beast spirit. In special cases, they can't even bear to see their beast spirit with another mage. They will be overwhelmed by jealousy. Early the next morning, before seeing the shadow, I heard the voice, slave. Are you dressed up prettier today? Little squirrel was scrubbed clean from head to toe by the maidservant this morning, and even tied a gaudy bow around its neck. It glanced at the stupid master, and you're dressed too extravagantly. Tezin went inside with little squirrel. Alright, let's go now. Sorry for being late. I was delayed by the beast spirit's soothing ritual. The magic in my body gives me a headache. Little squirrel made a disdainful face. Nuts, always lying, soothing, my head here. Suddenly a dazzling light like heaven shone straight on little squirrel. What is that light? Mary, that's so wonderful. She really is the most beautiful girl in the world. I wonder what Johan's reaction will be. She's so beautiful, maybe he'll fall in love with her at first sight. What's going on? Why is he looking at me like that? A beast spirit. This is the first time I've seen a beast spirit. I heard it's very rare, so it's difficult to get one. Mary was very interested in little squirrel. Duchess Medist also added, to have enough magic power, you need a beast spirit. It seems to be the same with Duke Highland. Tezin was happy but still appeared calm. To compare with him, I'm still far away. But it's also difficult without a beast spirit by my side. Little squirrel got goosebumps. If he was raised as a con artist, he would definitely succeed. Mary was excited when she saw the cotton ball moving. So, how does a beast spirit awaken? I heard that it's through contact. Are each beast spirit different? Tezin suddenly pressed little squirrel's head. It cried out in pain. Hearing that cry, Johan's eyes were full of killing intent. My beast spirit puts her hand on my forehead like this. Tezin kept pushing little squirrel, making the beast spirit angry. You brat, why are you pressing other people's heads like that? Tezin kept bragging. When I receive the awakening, the pain will disappear and I'll feel better very quickly. Little squirrel noticed something else. Why do I feel a vibration coming from somewhere? Johan sat on this side, full of dark energy. His face darkened. He dropped and broke the wine glass. This sound attracted everyone's attention. Ella spoke. Johan, you were also in a lot of pain before, you must have tried very hard. So, this is an important occasion, you must stay calm. Little Squirrel was confused seeing Johan's expression. This is strange, I helped him stabilize yesterday. So why is the magic power so strong today? Could it be residual effects from that rain? I should go check on him. The beast spirit wanted to run towards Johan but stepped on a puddle of water, causing it to lose balance and fall. I'm falling, what a shameful brown squirrel, but luckily Little Squirrel fell into Johan's palm. He gently comforted it. You should be careful, you almost fell here. You shouldn't wander around like that, it's very dangerous if I'm not here, otherwise, I won't be able to protect you. Little Squirrel was frozen hearing those serious words. Why is he saying that? Thank you, Johan, Tezen spoke. He stepped forward and demanded, so can I have it back now, my squirrel? Those three emphasized words made Johan even more uncomfortable. You said my squirrel. So Tezen, what is the squirrel's name? Tezen was asked and suddenly hesitated. What? Why are you curious about that? Johan didn't care and continued to say, it's a precious sacred beast spirit, you can't call it mine or yours, but your reaction. I guess you haven't decided on a name yet. Tezen was caught on the raw and screamed, what? Its name is Slave. Normally he always calls Little Squirrel Slave, so now he's stammering. I'm trying to think of a name, alright. Little Squirrel was disgusted. You really tried, commendable. Johan sneered, so should I help a little? Tezen screamed, how dare someone like you name it? Little Squirrel in the middle could only hold its head, this is driving me crazy. At this critical moment, Mary spoke, excuse me but. Can I name it? It's so cute. Tezen was also surprised but accepted. I'm sure the squirrel will consider it an honor if you name it. Little Squirrel escaped disaster and ran quickly to that beauty. Great, Mary. Perfect timing to change the atmosphere. Mary was happy to see Little Squirrel. Oh my god. Little Squirrel, I'll give you a really nice name. Your fluffy tail is so cute, and the black eyes are so beautiful. The squirrel's nostrils flared wide like bowls after being praised. So beautiful. How about Blackly? The squirrel wanted to vomit. The name is too crude. But everyone likes that name, that lovely name. Her naming ability is very impressive. I'm sure it will like the name Blackly. The squirrel made a pouty face. No, I don't like it. Mary tied something to the squirrel's foot. Blackly, nice to meet you today. Huh, what is it? I just felt magic. Mary spoke. Done, this is my gift for you. As expected, it suits you so well. The little squirrel raised its foot to admire. Is this gold? Thank you, gold is the best. Tezen then called the beast spirit back. Hey, oh no, Blackly, come here. You have to go to your master. The little squirrel didn't like this at all, very obvious. However, it turned to look at Johan. If I act stubborn here, Tezen might take his anger out on me later. So the little squirrel went to Tezen. Good, such a good squirrel. Blackly is very good at listening to its master, so smart. I think that's why it helped me awaken and continues to connect with me. Johan couldn't have the squirrel, he was disappointed. In another scene, there was a voice, as I thought, I can't let that beast spirit go. Ribena, the high priest called out the other person's name. You heard it too. We need to get that squirrel back from the Highland Duke's family. Ribena immediately replied, yes, we really need that beast spirit for the experiment in progress. The high priest wondered, is it necessary to be that squirrel? What about other beast spirits? Ribena coldly said, none of them showed me as clear results as that squirrel. Moreover, I'm talking about Highland. I'll have trouble if, accidentally, that beast spirit turns into a human with Highland's magical help. It will also remember what happened in the lab. The high priest sighed, you don't need to worry about that, I've checked thoroughly before. I sold that beast spirit for the Duchess's abundant contribution, but Highland's second son has absolutely no mana. The eldest is locked in the tower because of his illness, so there's no chance for him to meet that beast spirit. Ribena pondered upon hearing this. The temple always sells the holy spirits to noble families without strong magic. Must prevent the beast spirit's evolution at all costs. This time it definitely won't take long, she persuaded again, but I don't feel at ease. I can't rule out the possibility that the eldest has strong mana, or that beast spirit can agree with the second. Above all, it does not erase the fact that we need that squirrel for the experiment. Please bring it back as soon as possible. The high priest had to give in. What kind of problem is she talking about this time? She won't listen. I know, I'll try to get that beast spirit back as soon as possible. Johan returned to his room after the party. He noticed a figure outside the door. Are you there? The little squirrel shyly peeked in. You don't always have to knock. Because I'm always waiting for you. The little squirrel blushed shyly. This boy. His face is shining. It's been more than 40 days since absorbing mana. His skin is clearly different from before. Since when did he start emitting a new scent? Seeing the little squirrel staring at him, Johan spoke. Why are you staring at me like that? The little squirrel was startled when caught. Nothing, from now on you have to grow up strong. Johan hugged the little squirrel and sat on the bed. The little squirrel reached up. I'll explain to you. Quickly give me your forehead, hold on tight. Johan gently held the little squirrel. Let's start slowly today. You'll have to leave after finishing your work, won't you? Stay with me a little longer, can you? The sparkling eyes put even more pressure on the spirit. At times like these he looks like a real kid. It had to give up. Alright, Johan immediately smiled. You allowed it, right, thank you. The little squirrel climbed on Johan's shoulder, playing happily with his hair. Are you happy to play with my hair? The spirit felt so comfortable, so soft and comfortable. Johan then noticed the gold thread that the young lady Meetist had given to the little squirrel. The little squirrel still wears it. I was really happy to meet you today, Blackley. Remembering that name, Johan forced a smile. He gently put the little squirrel down on the bed. About your name, you think? Calling you Blackley is really boring. Your eyes aren't even black. The little squirrel was shocked. Huh, really? Johan described, you have beautiful pink eyes, so from now on I'll call you Momo. How is it, do you like it? The little squirrel stiffened upon hearing this name. No, you're really bad at naming, but if I have no problem with people naming me Blackley, then am I just being grumpy if I refuse to be called Momo? So the little squirrel reluctantly was called Momo. Thank you, Johan was very happy to see this. Right, you think it suits me well. So lovely, cute, and extremely pure. The little squirrel felt warm. Even if you like me that much, you don't have to praise me with those words. Yes, alright, you've thought of the most amazing name ever. You know, Momo, Johan stroked the little squirrel's head. Do you think we met because of fate? For some reason, I always think our meeting wasn't accidental. Momo was also silent before those words. It's true that it wasn't accidental, since I came to him for a specific purpose. Suddenly Johan pressed Momo's head. It immediately showed an unpleasant attitude. Johan softly comforted, sorry, but you're too cute anyway. The way she tried to protect me, with that soft and small body, made me feel how precious you are to me. So, Momo, I'll give you more gold later. Give you the best room, I'll give you everything you want, I'll make you happier, more than when you were with Tezen. From now on I will be the one to protect you. A torrent of sincere words. Momo also felt sorry for Johan. Silly, you'll soon be dragged to the battlefield. And be given sedatives developed by the temple. You can soothe your mana by drinking it. At that time, maybe you won't need me anymore. But before that day comes, during the time we are together, I will do my best, Johan. From early in the morning there were lively discussions. Isn't that the temple's carriage? That's the car that the messengers from the temple usually take. Who came so early this morning? I heard that a priest is visiting. High Priest Pater came to see Ella. Your Holiness, what do you mean? Pater leisurely took a sip of tea and replied. As you have heard. I have confirmed that the beast spirit given to Tezen has no calming ability. That is why, please return that beast spirit to the temple. Ella was so scared that she broke out in a cold sweat. Does anyone know about this yet? Pater replied, no one knows, except me, because this concerns the reputation of the temple. I can't say it. Then the matter has been resolved. That's not a matter others should know, so leave it here. However, about my son's magical pain, shouldn't you do something too? Pater had prepared in advance. I have also brought some medicine that can help the Duke Tezen. This is a medicine usually bought by mages who can't summon beast spirits. Duke Highland, currently at the front line, has also bought some. Ella calculated upon hearing this. Although it is said to be medicine, it doesn't work like a spirit beast. As long as the rumor is that it is the type of medicine used by mages like my father, that will be a problem. So she smiled. I have an alternative solution, then, I'll rely on this medicine. And about the compensation, I have something else to ask, please have a chat. While suddenly acorns flew towards them and attacked, I immediately returned to the tower. Even when told to come back, that name didn't even look back, left without thinking. It had never rebelled like this before. It was such a surprise. It's better to eliminate any potential threat first. I heard there is a medicine that can turn people into puppets without leaving any trace in the temple. Outside the window, Little Squirrel had heard the whole story. This is terrible. I'm in danger. The truth is that I don't have the ability to calm. His lying to take me away is not a good thing. In the original story, I disappeared at some point, so I must have been taken to the temple at that time. I don't remember clearly, but I never want to go back there. But the bigger problem is that Ella is trying to harm Johan with a medicine. Momo turned back and ran quickly to report. In the original story, Johan took medicine from the temple to get Mary. It was a terrible medicine that turned people into unconscious puppets. I can't let Johan become like that. Johan sat alone in the room looking at the documents. Hearing the familiar sound made him notice. Momo, the squirrel, had run out of breath to get here. Johan worried, it's still daytime, why are you here? What if the servants see? Momo didn't care about this. It rushed to announce, this is an emergency, Johan. First, erase the seal. And you're in danger too, Ella is planning. Momo said a lot but got Johan's blank face in return. You want to die from heart pain. Momo wanted to vomit blood. No. What should I do now? Explaining with gestures is not effective, there's no time to waste. It seems there's no other choice, I really don't want to use this method. Suddenly the little squirrel ran to the bed. It got under the blanket in Johan's wonder, why are you suddenly? Soon after Momo turned into a beautiful girl. Johan wondered, why did you transform? Momo was agitated, we don't have much time to explain, the people from the temple want to take me away. What, they're taking you away, what do you mean? I don't know, suddenly, they said they would take me back because I don't have any magic. That's weird, so I have to run away now. I have to leave immediately. Johan worried, you have to leave immediately. Momo hurried, please, Johan. Erase this seal. I need that to escape from Highland, and because you are part related to Highland, you can erase it, please, Johan, I don't want to be taken to the temple and die like that. After those hasty words, Johan also accepted, he knelt down. Alright, I'll erase it immediately, I can't let you die. After a few operations, the seal was erased. Finally I can escape from here, thank you, Johan, you saved me, and you're in danger too. Johan was surprised to hear that, me. Ella is trying to give you a medicine that turns people into a puppet. That medicine only works when it's hot, so now only eat cold food like cold bread. When they give you soup, make sure the soup is cold before eating it. Johan wanted to say something but was interrupted by Momo. Quickly listen to what I say, if you can endure for a while longer, you'll be taken to the battlefield. By then, you can use sedatives, so you don't have to worry about the pain because of magic anymore. Johan took the girl's hand, I'm not worried about that, Momo. Just to tell me these things, you used all the magic you absorbed. You want to transform like that, but if you continue like that, you'll turn back. Momo felt moved, this kid, even at the end he's still thinking about others. She stroked Johan's head to reassure him, it's okay, Johan. I'll handle it, don't worry about me. You have to survive too, understand? Johan then reluctantly smiled slightly, okay, since you gave me this life, I'll survive here, as you said. So Momo, where are you going now? Before she could answer, the girl had turned back into a squirrel. Momo, Johan cried out when the beast spirit reappeared. I poured out all the magic I've absorbed, it's okay, I've said everything that needs to be said. Suddenly at this moment Johan heard someone's footsteps. He hastily held Momo in his hands and urged, Momo, you have to get out of here quickly. It seems someone is coming, avoid their sight by climbing a tree. And, Johan tied the golden thread around Momo. Be sure to bring this with you, Momo. I'll recognize you by this golden thread. If you have nowhere to absorb magic, then come back here, no matter what, I will protect you. Those words moved the spirit immensely. Seeing Momo just standing hesitant, Johan was impatient, hurry up, Momo, I'll distract them, don't worry, Momo. Before leaving, Momo leaned close to Johan's face. You're not a villain, Johan. You have a heart full of kindness and compassion. Johan heard Momo's voice but didn't understand anything. You said I should take care of myself because you'll handle it yourself. Momo is really wise. The misunderstood beast spirit stamped its feet in anger. Not so, be serious until the last second. Finally the beast spirit had to leave by the window. Momo couldn't bear to look back. I'm leaving, Johan. It's hard to leave when I have to leave you here alone with no one on your side, but I know you have to go through a lot of difficulties and will become even better. Discovering your true self far beyond the descriptions of you as a villain is also part of my luck. Thank you, Johan. Johan stood quietly by the window looking at the departing figure of the beast spirit. Momo is not here, because she really left. There are so many things I want to do for her. Johan angrily clenched his fist. Outside in the corridor, angry shouts rang out, quickly find that squirrel, because of the seal it can't escape from here. Johan suddenly pondered over everything. Something has been wrong with the temple since they sold the beast spirit to Tezen. Anyone even with half a brain would realize, he has no magic at all. There's no way Momo would be sent to a place like that. While thinking about serious matters, someone broke the silence. Sir. A man opened the door and entered. Please excuse me for entering here. Johan still acted dumb. What's the matter? The other party then inquired. Have you seen Mr. Tezen's beast spirit, the squirrel? I heard it's called Blackly. Johan replied with an indifferent attitude. I haven't seen it. Blackly, that name sounds terrible. To be sure we want to check your room. So he turned everything upside down to search. Where could it have gone? If I can find it, I can get a reward. What if you can't find that squirrel? Maybe they'll make a big fuss. Good luck and may you sleep well tonight. Johan had an idea upon hearing this. How about this? Find a dead squirrel and bring it to them. I'll engrave the Highland mark on it so everyone will confuse it with that beast spirit. You just need to say that you found it dead due to being attacked by hunting dogs. Even after they find the real beast spirit, say you don't know anything that happened. The man seemed convinced after hearing this. Is this really effective? Why are you doing this? Johan gave a condition. In return, secretly bring me food, something simple, like cold bread for example. I'm really hungry. He was convinced. After all, how terrible is the food sent to the tower? Understood, I'll go find a squirrel and come back right away. The whole room fell silent again. Johan sighed in relief. This way, I can deceive the eyes of the temple, at least for a short time. Johan looked at the fold of the bed where Momo was sitting earlier. Momo was jumping around here just now, but now she's gone. Johan felt a bit of heartache. Before that, I hesitated for a moment. Honestly, I wanted her to be by my side more, that I would consider not touching the seal. But because her life is more important to me. For the first time in my life, I found something more important than my own safety, and that's her. Momo definitely escaped from here cleverly, she's so smart. Thinking back, from the first meeting, she was so strange, cute and pretty, but so many tricks and determination. There was a time when I waited for you, for no reason. Johan grabbed the blanket where Momo appeared. Those nights I waited every day. He pressed his face against the blanket that still smelled of Momo. Now, you are no longer part of those nights. On the other side. In Mary's temple. She was sitting reading the requests for assistance, another request for help. Everyone is going through difficult times, but even so, isn't the money they're asking for too much? The financial situation is not good enough to meet the needs of the territories, but since they are close to the front line, I can't ignore it. What should I do? I wish someone was here to help me. Suddenly at this time, a noise outside the door startled Mary. What is it? The sound is coming from the window, but this is the second floor. Who's there? Mary fearfully slowly approached the window. After bravely opening the door, she suddenly realized. A squirrel. But what caught Mary's attention was that golden thread. Could it be Blackley? Slowly, her eyes slowly opened. Young Lady Muriel's voice rang out. Oh my, Blackley. You're awake. While Blackley was eating deliciously, Muriel watched and laughed. You eat so much, is it that delicious? Blackley nodded with bright eyes, making Muriel feel happy too. There's a lot, so keep eating. Suddenly, she wondered, but, why did you come here? It's quite far from the Highland Duke's castle. Don't worry, I'll take you back. Hearing this, Blackley panicked. No, how can I be taken to that terrible place when I just escaped? This refusal from Blackley surprised Muriel. What's wrong? What's wrong? Are the nuts not delicious? Then, Blackley thought, what should I do? Is there a way to send a message? Immediately, Blackley ran away, making Muriel confused. Seeing it rummaging through everything, Muriel softly spoke, those are secret documents, there will be a problem if you accidentally tear or play with them. But then Blackley kept pointing to the paper in front, so Muriel was surprised. Is there something wrong with the document? She watched Blackley's actions intently. And it was trying to tell Muriel that I was tortured in Highland. Muriel was shocked. No way. You were tortured in Highland? Why could they do such a thing? So you ran here. Hearing that, Blackley nodded repeatedly, making Muriel feel excited. So cute. But when she thought about it, during the tea party just now, Prince Tezzen's personality didn't seem that good. He treated his brother, Prince Johan, badly, imagining how badly he would treat Blackley. Who could say, Blackley would never be able to return to Highland? And Muriel made that decision. From now on, I will protect you, don't worry Blackley, and in its heart, it secretly rejoiced, found a new home successfully. Meanwhile, a secret conversation was taking place. Pater kept praising. The problem with the beast spirit was handled very well, Ravenna. The day we went to get it, they found it dead, bitten by hunting dogs, but Ravenna was a little surprised. It died on that day? And Pater admitted, yes, it seems they are always careful in managing the beast spirit. I also delivered the bevel medicine that the Duchess requested, so there will be no information leaked. But Ravenna still felt that something was wrong. She spoke to Pater. I still feel unsafe not resolving it at the temple, but he shook his head and said, Ravenna, you are obsessed with that beast spirit. There's no need to think about it too seriously. Perhaps you're right to suggest at Highland is to avoid any unnecessary trouble in the future. And she also knew. Most beast spirits don't have a strong desire to become human, so there's no need to worry. Maybe that beast spirit is the same. On the other hand, the plan to become human is progressing smoothly. Blackley couldn't help but rejoice. I've absorbed so much magic in just 5 days. I wonder if that case can happen. That's right, even in the original story, Muriel is still beautiful and kind, but she's far from any politics or plans, and she's often influenced by the people around her. That's why Metist's assets quickly declined. I can also see that through how she treats me, Blackley thought. Suddenly, Blackley pointed forward, causing Muriel to wonder, the fireplace. And Blackley was portraying the action of chopping firewood. Very hard and the weather is very hot. Therefore, that is not necessary. Muriel then thought and analyzed Blackley's confusing actions. Finally, she realized, Eretz is a place with a hot climate, so firewood is not needed. You're saying they want to replace it with firewood. Sure enough, this made Blackley feel excited, explaining this is so interesting. Muriel happily stroked her face. Blackley, you're so smart, that's great. Anytime, if you have something on your mind, will you listen? And Blackley was very willing. I will listen to everything. At that time, it thought, in the next 50 days, I will have to absorb magic, so I have to repay this kindness. It doesn't seem to really affect Muriel, and moreover, she's also very happy to be with Blackley. Thank you, Blackley. Scene change, at the Duchess Medist's room. She was regretting on the relic of Eureka, and blamed herself. If I knew I would lose my child on that day, I would never have gone to the temple. Thinking of the heartbreaking thing, tears welled up. Medist also had a request. If you are still alive, you will be very big. If I see your warm pink eyes again, I will have no regrets. Scene change, the next morning. Blackley was enjoying extremely refreshing. It's so wonderful. It's been a long time since I felt so relaxed. No need to worry about what happens every day, and everyone here is also very good. It's so great here. Let's rest comfortably today. But then suddenly, Blackley discovered something. Inside the window of a room. Blackley was confused. Wait there. It ran to the window to observe more carefully. And was surprised, it was Duchess Medist. I heard that her health is very poor now. Her mind seems to be fluctuating. Maybe she's not comfortable. I should check to prevent anything. Soon after, Blackley sneaked in. And Medist was quite surprised. A squirrel. She was still very confused. Where did this squirrel come from? I heard that Muriel recently adopted a squirrel as a pet. Is that you? And Blackley always clung to Medist, making her happily share. This is hair from a child named Eureka. She has light brown hair and warm pink eyes. Such a beautiful child. Back to the past, there's still no information about her second child. When asked, Duchess Medist felt extremely painful. She struggled to answer, no, not yet. Then Ella continued to mock. The Medist family seems to have an unusually high number of missing children. Fortunately, Lady Muriel still grew up in your arms. Medist replied glumly, yes, but the disappearances that occur in Medist usually happen to the second child. Yes, that's why we're always careful to raise the child in the castle. But on her first birthday, when she went out to receive blessings, then, they encountered robbers. That's what Blackley heard, and after losing her child, Medist's health began to decline. Moreover, now, she still can't believe in herself, talking as if the person can answer. I'm sorry. At that moment, Blackley wished that she could comfort her somehow. And finally it found out. Blackley suddenly lay on its back. Then kept pointing at it, causing Medist to be surprised. Blackley still smiled brightly and enthusiastically. So Medist laughed. You want to say that petting will make me feel more comfortable? At that time, in Medist's heart she wondered, when I look at this squirrel, why do I feel so comfortable? So she suggested to Blackley, if you don't mind, can you come to my room from now on? I will prepare sunflower and acorn seeds for you. Blackley was delighted to hear this and smiled with great agreement. And now, the atmosphere in Medist's room has become much warmer than before. Until that afternoon, at the Arad family's castle. Johann stood gazing at the window. Until someone called, Sir, it's time to go. I'm coming, Johann replied. When stepping out of that door, Johann's mind became confused. My father died. A man I don't even remember his face. Even when I heard the news of his death, I didn't feel any special emotions. More importantly, Ella is planning to poison Johann, and soon, he will have to go to the battlefield. That's also when he realized Momo was right about everything. Hot meals are something that never existed before. If it wasn't for Momo, then Johann would have lost himself and become Ella's puppet. Momo, I don't understand why you know these things, but I trust you and go to the battlefield. And once the war ends, I will crush them, those who try to separate us. And the temple, the place that caused a threat to you. Johann was sure that he would leave everything behind and move forward. Lady Muriel also learned the news. Johann had safely arrived at the battlefield. It seems he will fight in the back because his health is not good. Going to the battlefield with such a weak body, it's really unfortunate. Even Blackley felt sad, so he finally left. The battlefield seems to be safer for Johann, but I still hope he can take care of himself. Suddenly, Muriel called Blackley and smiled. Since you came, my mother's condition has improved a lot. Thank you, everything in the territory is going smoothly. You're really a blessing. And Blackley also felt happy. I'm the one who needs to be grateful. Suddenly, Blackley ran away, causing Muriel to be confused. Where are you going? Is there something there? And then what Muriel saw also surprised her. Blackley, what is it? I will explain everything, Lady Muriel. Right then, Duchess Medist came in and asked, what's going on? Muriel, are you here? I need to talk to you for a moment. and she couldn't believe her eyes either. Then anxiously called out the name, Eureka. Medist was confused and delighted. Eureka, you've returned. Oh my God, the gods have answered my prayers. While she was touched, Muriel was a little confused. Mother, please, calm down. But before she could explain, Medist still couldn't bear the overwhelming emotions and suddenly fainted, causing Muriel to exclaim, Mother. Is there anyone outside? My mother fainted. At that time, Blackley was panicked. What should I do? I never thought I would suddenly turn into a person like this. After that, Blackley sat down with Lady Muriel. She still couldn't believe what was happening right before her eyes. As soon as she saw the doctor, Muriel quickly asked, Mr. Brown, how is my mother? Fortunately, she's asleep. And she will also wake up in a few hours. Brown also said that, since she saw someone who looked exactly like the person she was always waiting for, so she will experience temporary mental confusion. She's always looking for her second child. Although I have implemented the necessary methods, what needs to be concerned about is what will happen after she wakes up, causing Muriel to feel confused. What do you mean? Brown hesitated to answer. If she doesn't meet that girl, she may feel like she lost her daughter again, and the situation may be even worse. This is a critical moment for stabilizing her mind. It would be better to let this person stay here for her. After speaking, Brown asked for permission to leave. Everything was still in a panic situation, causing Muriel to think a lot. Blackley spoke. Muriel came back to her senses and realized. I'm sorry, you must be very surprised. My sister also has light brown hair and pink eyes like you. That's why mother mistook you for her at that time. I'm sorry for startling you. Blackley shook her head. No, lady. I'm the one who should apologize. Hearing that, Muriel smiled. After that, she also asked if this was Blackley's real form, because before that, she had also read many books about beast spirits. As soon as she realized Muriel also knew this, the beast spirit was shocked. Muriel was also curious, but where do you absorb magic from? To transform into a person, you need to absorb magic power for more than 50 days. Hearing that, Blackley was confused. That I absorbed your magic power. This couldn't help but shock Muriel. What, my magic power? But I don't have any magic, and even Blackley wasn't sure about that. She said that, but you really possess an unbelievable amount of magic power. I have been absorbing it continuously for 50 days. At that time, Muriel finally understood. So you have been absorbing my magic power. In this case, does it count that I have helped you? Blackley, Muriel asked, causing her to be surprised. Moreover, Muriel also felt extremely excited. I'm so happy, that really makes me very happy. So Blackley also followed happily. Angel? Suddenly, Muriel suggested, then, could you consider becoming my younger sister? This was too unexpected, causing Blackley to be a little confused. What, your younger sister? She suddenly exclaimed. Muriel tried to plead. I know it's a selfish request, but mother doesn't have much time left. I want her to live the rest of her life in happiness seeing her daughter return. At that time, Blackley realized, that's right, in the original story, Duchess Medist. She couldn't bear the pain of losing her second daughter, and passed away before Muriel reached adulthood. She is a good and warm person, like a mother. Meanwhile, Muriel was still anxiously awaiting Blackley's answer. Seeing her hesitating a little, Muriel then spoke. If this request makes you feel too burdened, then I apologize, Blackley, but I really hope you can stay here. Actually, I also don't want to be away from you. Thanks to you, I and the Medist family have regained our strength. Your presence has been a great help and support to everyone. After receiving so much help from you, I would be very ashamed, wouldn't I? Hearing that, Blackley suddenly stood up straight and shouted loudly, no, I'm the one who should be ashamed. In her heart, Blackley thought, that's right, there's no reason for me to refuse Muriel's invitation. Becoming an adopted child of the Medist family has many benefits. But that's not all. They are the people who treat me like part of the family even though at first I couldn't even communicate with them. Now it's my turn to repay their kindness. And Blackley made a decision. I will do it. I will become Eureka. Muriel couldn't help but rejoice, hugging Blackley. Really, thank you. No, Eureka, from now on, I will call you Eureka. Blackley smiled brightly. Please teach me. And she also called Muriel, sister, making Muriel faint from happiness. Blackley smiled and said, from now on, you will hear it every day, so please get used to it quickly. And now with this matter, Blackley will definitely live up to this name. From now on, Blackley will protect the assets and honor of the Medist family, and find a way to save the Duchess. Meanwhile, outside, the people were also talking excitedly. Has everyone heard the news? I heard that an unknown girl from the orphanage has become the Duke's daughter. She looks exactly like the missing second daughter, doesn't she? Some people wondered and some cursed. Duchess Medist is so naive, she must have been deceived. Back when Duke Medist was alive, the family was very powerful, but now without any distinction, the family will quickly collapse. So what will the Duke's fake daughter do all day? And the current beast spirit has also lived with the new name of Lady Eureka. Scene change. Welcome, lady. Thank you for visiting our orphanage. Thank you for your warm welcome, and today, Eureka's first official schedule will be with a doctor status. With this opportunity, she also wanted to show the nobility that she had no intention of hiding her background. And surely Eureka would also find that person. When they were led inside, Eureka felt that everyone seemed happy, and she was also looking for someone who often visited this orphanage. A person who later saved the crown prince who was bedridden after he fell to death. The demon's fate of Johann, the best doctor in the empire, none other than Renat Carden. Unlike other doctors paid by Johann, Renat didn't forget the kindness he received at the Metist orphanage, and saved Muriel's lover, the crown prince. Renat, who later became the royal physician, was hailed as the genius doctor of this era, but it took a long time at the orphanage for his abilities to develop. Eureka thought to herself, I wish I could fast forward to that time. Suddenly, she saw a person. He was playing with the children. The man in front saw this and introduced, she is a child care provider, she is playing with the kids outside at this hour. She is like a mother to the children. And this reminded Eureka of memories with her own mother. She often cared about her. You don't know how I felt when I found you. I am so happy to have you. Eureka couldn't stop thinking about the Duchess at this time. Even if it was just a misunderstanding, she always treated her well. Since she was a squirrel, she also took care of her like a biological mother. And that Duchess made Eureka not want to see her die in vain. That's why Eureka has to find him. She will send Renat to the academy sooner, so that he can quickly cure the Duchess. Meanwhile, the two others secretly signaled. They were secretly implementing some plot. As he entered the house, he introduced, there are classrooms and libraries on the second floor, those are the children's favorite places. Suddenly, he called, Lady. I heard that you are looking for a child from this orphanage to sponsor, can I ask how much you will support? But before he could finish, a scream rang out, startling both of them. However, he calmly said, it seems like the children are in trouble again, would you like to take a walk around while I leave for a few minutes? And Eureka agreed. Even so, she still felt worried, it seemed he wanted to ask for more support money. While thinking, Eureka suddenly turned around. And saw a boy sitting and reading a book in the corner. Eureka spoke up, hello. Startling him, Lady, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you come in, making Eureka also confused, it's okay, I'm sorry for startling you. Do you like this book so much that you read so intently that you don't know someone is coming? Eureka couldn't help but be curious and asked. He excitedly said, this is the latest edition of the medical book, and it's very interesting because it contains many different treatment methods from traditional medicine. Hearing about this type of book, Eureka was suddenly overjoyed, medical book, what's your name? And he introduced, my name is, Renat Carden. Eureka couldn't help but be happy, I hit the jackpot, so you are Renat, nice to meet you. Renat, are you interested in medicine, why don't you go to the medical academy? But hearing that, Renat became gloomy. Just then, he came back, so you are here with Renat. Startling him. After that he told Renat, you should be honest. Causing him to panic and affirm, no, I'm not interested in medicine. He grumbled again, I really can't stand this anymore. Lady, can you sponsor Renat? Renat likes medicine very much and is a very smart child, we know he wants to go to the academy, but he doesn't say it because he's afraid he will be a burden to this orphanage. We are telling you this now because we really care about his feelings, but I don't think he should miss the opportunity when the lady is here. And Eureka also happily said to Renat, you care about medicine so much, but give up the opportunity to learn it, the family at the orphanage will be very sad. I, in the name of Metist, will take care of this orphanage, so you can go to school without worrying about anything. This way you can go to the academy and study hard, okay? And the people at the orphanage kept comforting him, yes, Renat, don't worry about anything, so come back safely. At that time, Renat couldn't help but be moved, everyone, thank you. I will definitely become a doctor, that was the promise Renat was determined to fulfill. And fortunately Eureka found Renat without any trouble. All that needs to be done is to sort out the documents related to the orphanage and the list of sponsors, so that she can report to her sister tomorrow. Finally everything was dealt with, this is the time for Eureka to enjoy her short break. However, her mind was still thinking, by the way, at this hour, I also used to prepare to go see Johann when I was a beast spirit. Johann, he must be doing very well. Scene change, at the resting place, a voice rang out asking, what are you doing? Aren't you eating? Then suddenly, Johann ordered silence, causing him to wonder. When looking at that rock, he saw peanuts. Thinking about it, he often collects acorns and peanuts. But why did he leave the things he collected there? And the surprise happened. It was a squirrel. He laughed, it must be hungry, eating so well. Johann also felt happy. Then, he turned and asked, they said they are distributing food, let's go back, and he also nodded in agreement. Yes, let's go quickly. But Johan still couldn't forget Momo. Are you doing well? He wondered. Then unconsciously looked up at the sky. Whenever sunset falls, I always think of you. Because that's when I wait for you to come to me under the night. I miss you so much, Momo. When the war ends and I find you, I will help you become human. But when you become human you will not have a home or family, you will be the only one by my side. That's how we become the only family for each other. The journey was still being continued and everything was going smoothly. Renat was nervous and excited. Eureka started a conversation. Are you interested in going to the academy? And Renat immediately replied, of course, all thanks to you, lady. No need to worry about the lady's illness as I mentioned earlier, I will study hard and make sure she gets better. Renat's will was burning, causing Eureka to laugh. So trustworthy, I believe you. Renat also thanked Eureka for taking care of the orphanage. Everyone was very happy to hear that the funding had increased and a library would be built nearby. And Eureka also met with Muriel to exchange and report on the trip and plan. Moreover, she also instructed, Metist will continue to support any other needs, therefore. Just continue to focus on your studies. While Renat was moved by what Eureka had done for him, she couldn't help but feel proud of herself. Handling everything backstage like this and getting Muriel's approval was the best plan. That's right, Muriel received the influence. In the original story, after Metist collapsed, the prince saved Muriel, but instead of relying only on love, wouldn't it be better if she had everything? That way, Muriel will have more paths to happiness. While Eureka was feeling happy, Renat called out, young miss. You're going to leave me at the academy and leave right after? Does that mean we'll be parting ways as soon as I arrive? Eureka replied, yes, I think I will. Because Muriel's birthday is coming up soon. All the relatives will gather, but wait, if it's the relatives, then Muriel's uncle will also be there, right? He's Muriel's only advisor, but he died quite early for some reason. If I remember correctly, the cause of death was poisoning. Immediately, Eureka asked Renat, do you know much about poison? What, poison? Yes, it just crossed my mind, maybe my mother was poisoned, for example. Eureka was convinced. Renat hesitated after hearing that. Poison, well. It's so strictly and tightly controlled by the temple, even a doctor wouldn't be able to kill someone instantly like that. Unless it's used gradually over time. Hearing this, Eureka panicked. Gradually, how do you do that? Meanwhile, Muriel's uncle arrived at the palace, and she happily ran out to greet him. You've arrived a week early? I'm so happy you're here, mother will be very happy. But then, Jaden said sternly, why are you running out here so excitedly? Is this the first time I've come here? I can find my way in myself. But Muriel couldn't help but be excited, I'm very happy to see you. Then suddenly, Jaden raised his voice, what's wrong with you? Then unexpectedly, the Earl took off his outer coat. Do you know how cold it is outside right now? What if you catch a cold going outside in such thin clothes? You have to be even stronger because mother is getting weaker. Here, put this on and quickly go inside. These words made Muriel feel incredibly happy. Uncle is as cheerful as ever. Alright, let's go inside. She took Earl Jaden's hand and they went inside together. Suddenly, Jaden asked, by the way, I heard you adopted a younger sister. Muriel excitedly introduced, her name is Eureka. Which made Jaden a little suspicious. You named her after your own younger sister? Yes, mother believes she is Eureka, and I really see her as a younger sister. When you meet her, I'm sure you'll quickly like her, Muriel replied with a smile. However, that was just what Muriel was thinking. As soon as they met, Eureka and Jaden saw each other as mortal enemies. With this kind of atmosphere, will everything really be alright? Muriel couldn't help but worry. At a lavishly set table, Muriel began, mother had breakfast and is sleeping now, so let's start eating. Jaden, ignoring them, picked up his wine glass and took a sip, leaving the two stunned. Even so, she wished her uncle a good meal. Eureka thought to herself, I even greeted him first, and he's still showing that he doesn't like me. Jaden said to Muriel and Eureka, you're blocking my way, go sit over there and keep quiet. Because of that, Eureka thought to herself, I don't like you either. Muriel wondered, why is he acting like that towards Muriel? She thought to herself, I just need to finish eating and go upstairs. Eureka said, enjoy your meal. Muriel seemed a little surprised and replied, ah, yes, Eureka, enjoy your meal too. Jaden then put his wine glass on the table. He asked Eureka, what's your name? Eureka was surprised and asked back, what? Then replied, I'm Eureka Metist. Jaden replied, no, I mean your real name. Eureka, looking at Jaden, thought, he doesn't seem happy that I'm using the name Eureka. Eureka sighed, well, anyway, I do have a name, then was about to say, my real name is. Jaden seemed confused by the word Blackie. Eureka couldn't believe she had said that name. Jaden was surprised and asked, "Your name is Blackie?" Muriel laughed foolishly. Eureka thought, well, maybe it's because I'm not that person. Jaden continued, "Anyway, you're just doing meaningless things." He continued, "You can't even manage the family properly, but you're bringing a stranger into the house. This time, you allowed soldiers into the Manhwa war zone, didn't you? Don't you know that it's forbidden to build up military strength there?" Eureka was angry. Why is this uncle always lecturing Muriel? But Muriel stopped her. She replied, "This time, there was a recent battle, so I had no choice but to grant permission." Muriel told her uncle, "But in return, I set some conditions." Muriel replied, "Yes, I increased the tax rate a bit and decided to replace the tax with millet." Muriel continued, "Once permission is granted, the biggest problem is not reducing the number, but if we tighten the food supply, even Manhwa will have difficulty maintaining a large number of soldiers. If the expansion of the number of soldiers is really due to the rising fear, then when the battles gradually stop, it will naturally decrease the number." Jaden exclaimed, "Who possessed you?" Muriel asked back, "What?" Jaden said that just now he really thought Muriel's father had returned. Jaden asked, "Does thinking like that mean you're going to change your advisor?" Muriel replied, "No, it's not that." Muriel looked at Eureka and said, "Eureka has helped me a lot." Muriel said that it was advice from Eureka, she's amazing at such a young age. This made her uncle exclaim in surprise, "That child." Jaden replied, "It's not that surprising. Your father also changed very quickly at that age. But that might also be because your father was a genius." Muriel looked at Jaden and said, "Uncle." Muriel said, "Please help Eureka. Both my mother and I see her as part of the family." Jaden said, "Everyone is acting like Eureka has returned." And he still believed that one day Eureka would really return. The door opened. All three turned to look and were surprised. Muriel's mother entered and asked Muriel and Eureka, "Are you having a meal with Jaden?" She continued, "Eureka, darling, did you have a fun day off?" "I was very worried." Eureka replied, "Yes, I had a great time with you, mother. Thanks to the bodyguards you assigned. There was nothing to worry about." Eureka asked back, "How about you, mother? Are you well?" She smiled and said, "I was thinking in the matter, if I were healthier, I could have gone with you." Muriel comforted her. "Don't be sad, next time the three of us can travel together." She happily said, "That's a great idea, Muriel." She also said, "Let's make a type of cake that everyone likes." Muriel exclaimed, "Oh, that sounds great." Looking at the three of them laughing and talking happily, Jaden's eyes seemed to be filled with sadness. The scene returned to the meal, with only Jaden and Eureka left. Muriel had gone to pick up Sienna. Muriel thought that he had been silent for a while and hadn't even touched his food. That's a little sweet. First, at this time Jaden said, "I owe you an apology for my attitude." Eureka was surprised, "Huh?" Jaden said, "I wasn't mature enough. If I accidentally hurt you, I'm sorry." Eureka replied, It's okay." She thought that this was an unexpected apology. His tone was also easier to listen to than before. Jaden said, "You seem to be a smart child, so let me be clear." He explained that the Metist family was currently in a serious crisis. The Duke had disappeared, and Muriel was leading the family without inheriting the title. She lacks experience, and Muriel is too young not to be clumsy, but the world out there isn't that simple. There are wolves lurking, waiting for an opportunity. And this shouldn't happen. If something happens to Muriel, Jaden further explained, the responsibility of the Duchess of Metist will become yours, and you have no blood relation to the Metist family, so Eureka will be in danger. Others might see it as lucky to become the adopted daughter of the Metist family, but Jaden wanted to let her know that things might not be that simple. Jaden continued, "Anyway, that child is only acting like everything is fine because of her own younger sister." Eureka thought to herself that his words were a bit harsh. But he was just worried about her and clumsy Muriel, even though the two of them had no relationship. She continued to think, he's a bit cold, but he's actually a good person and cares about his descendants. She thanked the Earl for caring so much and also understood what he was saying. If possible, she just wanted to stay in Metist. Becoming a duchess or anything similar wasn't important to her at all. It's just that she really loved Muriel and Sienna. And there would be a day when she would leave, but she wanted to help her sister revive Metist and wanted to see Sienna get healthier. For Eureka, they were like a precious family. The Duke then smiled. Eureka seemed a little embarrassed to say those things. The truth was, the Duke's sister had been much better for many years. That was thanks to Eureka being by her side. One of his words made Eureka's face turn red, "Thank you." Hearing that, her mind was completely flustered. Wait, I take back what I said before. Sorry. Eureka said that she wouldn't let that happen. Eureka thought that thinking of such a good person dying early was terrible, so she decided to implement the plan Renat had given her as soon as possible. At this time, outside in the hallway, Eureka was walking and thinking, who on earth poisoned the Earl? It's hard to narrow down the target, because I don't understand the situation in Ibert clearly. Should I investigate each person? She was also afraid that just because she had good intentions, he might say something that would cause misunderstandings. At this time, she was standing in front of the Earl's room. Uncle, it's me. Eureka said that first, let's check the Earl's health. She asked, can I come in? I thought it was getting late and you haven't eaten anything, so I brought you some sandwiches. And she would use that sandwich for this. This surprised the Earl, a sandwich at this time? Even though she said it was okay, Eureka was still busy making it. In just a moment, she was done, which made the Earl's face freeze. She made this, hoping to be able to share it with the Earl. Then I'll eat a little, the Earl said. Eureka rejoiced inwardly because she had succeeded. The Earl asked Eureka if she came because of the unpleasant words from before. He secretly regretted those words. Eureka explained that she only brought food because she thought he was hungry. Jaden reassured her not to worry and that there was no problem, and praised the sandwich for being delicious. Eureka was afraid that something was wrong. Is there an assassination or revenge plot? Jaden replied, I don't have any enemies and no one would benefit from my death. Jaden was holding the sandwich, saying, but just in case, if something happens, I want you to take care of my first daughter. This surprised Eureka. And it was true, her name was Sally Linished, and the doctor diagnosed that she would be sick her whole life. At this time, Eureka realized that it was the name of a villain in the original story. Sally, the villain who tormented Muriel just because she was jealous of the prince's affection. She pretended to be kind but caused trouble behind the scenes, almost causing the prince and Muriel to separate. Eureka wondered if Jaden's first daughter had a disease that needed lifelong treatment, because she didn't remember ever hearing that. Jaden confirmed that the doctor said it was an incurable disease and he was very worried because she would have to live in a weak body. Eureka was still surprised and asked again if it was an incurable and weak disease, and the uncle asked her if she had never heard of it. After that, Eureka said that if you're talking about weakness, then Muriel was the one who was weak, revealing that Sally had spent money and used all means to torment Muriel. Eureka was thinking about Sally, whom she thought came from a humble background but possessed a large source of funding. She could guess that the funding source was the uncle in front of her. She appeared with a confident expression and seemed to have found a way to achieve two goals at the same time. At this time, in Jaden's bedroom, Jaden complained that lately he felt full after eating anything. And it was true that he had eaten too many sandwiches earlier. Suddenly, his eyes darkened. But then he realized that Eureka wasn't a bad child. And if Eureka were still alive, she would be like that child. Jaden was lying on the bed when someone knocked on the door, claiming to be Dr. Brown and asking if he could come in and also had permission. Dr. Brown said that he came on behalf of Eureka. Dr. Brown announced that there was a problem with the sandwich that the uncle had eaten and the girl was groaning in stomach pain. He looked worried and asked, is the child okay? Is she all right? Dr. Brown reassured him that she was fine and was being taken care of by the young lady. Jaden said that it was just because he had eaten a little too much and felt full. The man asked him to come back quickly and continue treating the girl. Dr. Brown explained that Miss Muriel was particularly concerned about the food that the girl had prepared and begged him to check it. Jaden had a feeling that he could see the girl's expression on the doctor. Finally, he allowed the examination. The doctor took out the medicine box. Perhaps it would be a memorable night for Uncle Jaden. Jaden thought that no matter what he thought, it was just bloating, but if he kept refusing, the child might worry. Then the doctor exclaimed, wait, this is... Dr. Brown appeared and announced, Earl, then reassured him, there will be a more accurate diagnosis at another time, so please don't worry too much. Dr. Brown revealed that the man seemed to have been suffering from this condition for some time and seemed to have been exposed to poison. Jaden asked in surprise, what? What are you saying? Switching to a garden, why are there such cruel people? Muriel continued, even the family doctor was involved, and even faking illness. Eureka asked, so Sally Linished isn't really sick? Muriel replied, no, she's perfectly healthy, there's nothing wrong with her. A girl approached my uncle to ask to be her guardian. She said because she looked like his younger sister, she should be treated like the second missing person. However, secretly she poisoned my uncle and even manipulated the will so that Sally would inherit the fortune. Eureka said that her sandwich turned out to be a blessing, showing how grateful they were. She realized that if it wasn't for that story, they wouldn't know what would happen to her uncle. Even though it was just a coincidence, she felt relieved that things seemed to be much better. Taking advantage of the pain of losing a grandchild, Eureka was glad that she had asked Renat last time. Renat explained about the poison will not leave the body but will accumulate in the organs. If it accumulates more than a certain amount, it will lead to something unpredictable. Moreover, the poison will not have any immediate reaction when tested, so there is no chance to detect it. It is very difficult to recognize and takes a long time for the poison to be lethal, so it is not commonly used. When asked if there was a way to know if someone was poisoned, Renat replied, there is a way. That there is a type of plant that only grows in the south. If the poisoned person eats this type of plant, a reaction will occur. However, this reaction needs to be observed within half a day. Eureka thought that she had added something to the sandwich and was very worried that Jaden would refuse the checkup. After that, Muriel asked if the little girl was feeling better, and she replied that she was completely healthy, but in reality it was just a fake illness. Muriel said that because her uncle also asked about Eureka in the letter and said that when everything was settled, he would return to the capital to thank her. And he would be back soon. However, Eureka said, there's no need to do that. And he has a place he needs to take you. Eureka was stunned, a place he needs to take me? In a basement, Jaden was going down. Followed by Eureka. The little girl thought in her head, hopefully it's not a prison. Jaden reminded her, the stairs are dark, so be careful. Eureka was afraid because it was too dark here. A door opened, Eureka exclaimed in surprise, oh, this place is. Jaden said, this place is where the portraits of the heads of the Duke Metist family are kept. And the person in front of her was the current Duke, Oscar Metist. Eureka and Jaden stood silently in front of the portrait of the current head of the Duke Metist family, Oscar Metist. Eureka thought to herself, this person is Muriel's father, who disappeared on the battlefield. He has a very strong face. Metist is traditionally a military family, coming to this place really has a very real feeling. He said to her, my brother-in-law is really a very respectable person. I see him as a real brother and respect him deeply. Maybe that's why whenever something important happens, I often come here. He turned to face Eureka and expressed his gratitude. Today, I want to swear in front of my respected brother that I will never forget your kindness. If it weren't for you, I would have been poisoned to death long ago. In the face of that gratitude, Eureka replied awkwardly, oh no, it's all just a coincidence that happened. He said, this is something that even Muriel doesn't know, but when Yukira went to the temple for baptism, the person escorting her was me. After hearing him say that, her expression became surprised. Jaden began to recount what happened at that time. My sister was adamant that the child would not go to the baptism ceremony, and she wanted to keep the child at the castle. But I insisted on going. And when I regained consciousness after the attack, Eureka had disappeared. Maybe I knew everything, the Linisht family is very suspicious. But because of guilt, I didn't pay attention to everything that Sally, the replacement for Eureka, did. Hearing that, her eyes shone with compassion. He expressed his gratitude to her again, if it weren't for you, I would still be trapped in the past, not knowing what is really important. Thank you, Eureka. She said awkwardly, wait a moment. Jaden continued, from the sandwich that day to the medical examination, everything became better because you saw me as part of the family. From now on, I will definitely not repeat the mistakes of the past, and do the best for my 2 second granddaughters. From now on, let's help each other. Hearing those words, Eureka was stunned. She didn't expect herself to be valued so much. She smiled brightly and replied, yes, Earl. He said, Uncle. Eureka didn't understand and asked, what? Jaden looked annoyed, call me Uncle, don't call me Earl. I don't want to be called by such a cold title by my granddaughter. She happily replied, yes. His face turned red with joy, while Eureka thought to herself, no matter what, my uncle is still cute. Suddenly she noticed something. She then asked Jaden, by the way, why are there so many animal paintings in the hallway? He replied, that's because. There is a legend that the ancestors of Metist were beastmen. Eureka stopped in front of a painting of a tiger. Scene change, a group of warriors are seriously injured, one person shouts, the other side is blocked too. Another person replies, is this the end? Suddenly, 3 people saw a light flare up from the sky. One of the warriors said, magic? Could it be that all the mages are at the front? Another said, maybe it is. Prince Arad? Can he use magic? Johann thought to himself, I used it because I was afraid everyone would die. Luckily, it worked. But my magic is unstable, I can't use it anymore. The soldiers were all worried about him, Your Highness, are you alright? He replied, I'm alright, quickly retreat and regroup. There may be wild beasts coming down from the mountains, I'll have the 3rd unit handle the cleanup. One person spoke up, Your Highness, can we not touch them? Johann was surprised, why? That person continued, because since Duke Metis disappeared, we have avoided disturbing the animals. Many soldiers have seen the Duke turn into a tiger. Johan was stunned. That person was confused and explained, I swear it's true. Of course it might sound a little absurd that a human turns into a beast, but... Johan replied, I understand, then let's pretend we didn't see it. He thought, absurd? I think so too. I once saw a squirrel turn into an incredibly cute little girl. Johan staggered as he walked, so the others came to support him. He was still thinking back. If Momo was here to meet me right now, she would definitely take credit for this. She would say that it was all thanks to her that I was able to use so much magic. Thinking of this, Johan unconsciously smiled brightly, then I will say that I owe her and promise to repay her. I will cling to her for the rest of my life. Scene change, Eureka's life passed peacefully. She happily chatted with Miss Muriel. She happily talked to Renat. She chatted with friends. She chatted with other young ladies. She fed the squirrels. Jaden grumbled because she wouldn't keep warm when winter came. The relationship between her and Earl Jaden became closer. Before she knew it, spring had arrived, at the palace of the Meads family. Miss Muriel was holding a piece of paper in her hand. She opened the door and came out, then called, Eureka. Eureka turned her head, Sister? Miss Muriel said, an announcement has just been sent. Finally. The war is over. Eureka's eyes shone with radiant happiness. Eureka asked, Ranit. How is Mother doing? He replied, she's doing much better, don't worry. We have reduced the dose of the medication, and the results are quite good. The Duchess of Meadist smiled happily and said, thanks to that, I feel much more relieved. Renat continued, his voice firm, it's what I should do. I will do my best as her attending physician. You can trust me. The Duchess of Meadist said, you are the one Eureka introduced, so I naturally trust you. Eureka thought to herself, it's been 5 years since I first met Renat. During this time, Renat, who has blossomed his medical talent at the academy, has become famous as a genius doctor and has been knighted as a baronet by the royal family. The medical academy has been begging him to take on a research and professor position. They have made sweet offers, a professor with an annual salary of 10 billion gold compared to Meadist. He only replied, no, I'm only Meadist. Renat has rejected all offers without hesitation, and became the new attending physician of the Meadist family from last month, and thanks to him, Dr. Brown finally got the retirement he had been longing. 4. Eureka said to Renat, Mother's condition has improved significantly recently. Thank you very much for coming to Meadist, Renat. I'm counting on you in the future. Her words made him blush with embarrassment, please don't say that. It's all thanks to you, young miss, that I was able to become a doctor. I am the one who is grateful for you giving me the opportunity to repay that kindness. Eureka was secretly happy, is this the joy of raising someone? I'm so proud. Because Renat has become a great doctor earlier than expected and Mother's health has improved significantly, I am definitely successfully changing the original storyline. Right? Jaden said, by the way, now that I think about it. Around this time, Muriel usually visits Mother, but there is no news of her today. What happened? Renat replied, I did see her briefly earlier, but she didn't look very well. Jaden was surprised, not well? Renat continued, she said she was fine, but it seemed like she was worried about something. Eureka pondered, worried about something? Could it be because of that? Scene changed to another luxurious room. The back of a girl reading the newspaper, it was Miss Muriel. She sighed softly, what is this? It was Eureka. Eureka asked her, are you reading the newspaper again, sister? Muriel replied, yes. It's nice to see everyone so happy now that the war is over, Eureka was surprised. Muriel continued, it really is a wonderful thing, peace has finally returned. Yukira said sadly, thinking to herself, as expected, even though the war is over, Muriel's heart must not be at peace. Originally, Muriel's fate was decided to join the army, as the successor to the missing Duke Meadist according to the war treaty. However, the royal family was concerned about the Meadist lineage ending, so they offered another option, replacing military service with marriage to a war hero. She was able to stay in the capital and act on behalf of the Duke's obligations. But now the war is over, and the hero who played an important role in ending it has appeared. Thanks to the temple's tranquilizing elixir, he awakened as a powerful mage, Johan Arad. There wouldn't be much of a problem if Muriel didn't have someone she loved. But Muriel had already fallen in love with Prince Raymond, and feelings are not something that can be controlled. I understand why Muriel feels so torn. Eureka was very worried about Muriel, sister, lately, you've been sighing a lot. It's because of the marriage to the war hero, isn't it? Muriel was surprised, huh? Eureka continued, be honest, I can tell what you're thinking just by looking at your face now. Muriel didn't know what to say. After a while, she admitted, yes, Eureka. I've known for a long time that marriage is my duty, so I tried very hard not to have feelings for His Highness. But in the end, I have feelings that only burden everyone. As a Duchess of the Empire, who even postponed her military service, I can't even really celebrate when the war ends. I feel so pathetic. Sorry Yukira, for sharing such heavy things when we should be celebrating. Eureka showed sympathy for her, it's okay, I completely understand. She thought to herself, even though Johan is no longer a villain. The fact remains that Muriel has to marry someone she doesn't love. A marriage where you have to bury your love for someone else. Muriel, Johan, and even the prince, this will not end without tragedy. Have I worked so hard, toiling like a squirrel, to create such a sad ending? More than anything, I just want to protect Muriel's happiness somehow. Eureka felt heartbroken seeing her beloved sister in pain. She thought to herself, the reason I was able to become human, and have happy moments, thinking of this, Eureka was very grateful to Muriel. Thanks to her, Eureka is where she is today. Scene change, everywhere was filled with cheers. Everyone was happy, I can't believe the war is really over, it must all be thanks to that war hero. The famous mage from the Arad ducal family. People began to discuss him, if it's a mage from Arad. Do you mean the second prince? No, the first prince, the son of the former wife. And he not only has powerful magic, but it is also said that he looks terrifying and full of murderous intent. A young lady heard this and replied, oh my, what I heard is a little different. I heard he is extremely young, and they say he is so handsome that everyone will be fascinated when they see him. Now that he has won the title of war hero, he will become the Duke of Arad. A young hero with breathtaking beauty, and above all a duke, his return, I can't wait. Scene change, the back of a man riding a horse into the capital. Another man spoke up, Johan, it's time to proceed with the royal parade. He replied, all right, all troops, enter the capital. Johan Arad returned from the war under the excitement of the entire nation. Everyone was looking forward to the appearance of the hero who had just returned with glory. That man was a true hero, Johan Arad. Everyone was whispering and talking, oh my god, I've never met such a handsome man in my life. I thought the previous rumors were just exaggerations, but he is even more impressive in person. A strange boy on the side of the road talking to the squirrel on his shoulder seemed to be particularly caught in Hirad's sights. It was just the admiration of a boy for the hero, but what he cared about was the little squirrel on the boy's shoulder. Hirad then used his special ability. Suddenly an acorn appeared to everyone's surprise. A cavalryman then smiled and said, that must be a gift from our hero, kid, hurry up and accept it. He also told everyone there that Johan had taken good care of animals throughout the war, especially he even took care of places where acorns grew. Everyone looked surprised, a person with such a cold face is an animal lover? Johan clenched the small acorn in his hand. Then he slowly felt the admiration of the people for him. At this time in the castle, Eureka and Muriel were discussing something. She thought that at this time they should both try to prevent the hero and her sister from marrying each other. But Muriel thought that if that happened, both of them would break their promise to His Majesty the Emperor. Is that really possible? Even so, Eureka understood the worry of committing a serious crime. Because both of them had been exempted from military service, so it was difficult to deal with that contract. That was exactly the problem. So Eureka suggested that they find a way to handle everything without touching the contract. Muriel asked in surprise what way she had without touching the contract. Eureka's plan was to first send a letter to Prince Johan. Then she would say the contents of the letter for Muriel to write. Both of them began to write the contents to send to Lord Johan Hirad, congratulating him on winning the victory. Moreover, as a member of the Empire, thank him for ending a long war. Perhaps you remember His Majesty the Emperor's decree, which is about the marriage of the war hero and Princess Mazest. I am contacting you to confirm, so please reply on this matter. Signed Princess Modeste, Muriel Modeste respectfully. Muriel felt that this expression was a bit awkward, so she stopped. It made her feel like she was separating herself from Princess Mirdest. Eureka then smiled and said that this was the case because Princess Modeste was no longer one person. Muriel felt uneasy, could it be that Eureka was accepting that contract in her place? But it couldn't be, she wouldn't allow herself to let her sister suffer. But for Eureka, this was not a sacrifice. Thanks to Muriel, she was able to enjoy all the privileges as a Modeste. Being who she is today, she definitely wanted to share this responsibility with Muriel. Eureka smiled and uplifted Muriel's spirits, you know this better than anyone else because we have been through so much together, this will be okay. Muriel couldn't hold back her emotions and spoke her heart. It's just that now I'm worried that if things don't go according to plan, you might be put in a more difficult situation. Eureka then hugged her sister and comforted her that it would definitely be okay. She thought to herself that this time she had something she could really rely on. According to the original story, Johan loved Muriel at first sight and became obsessed with her, but that had deviated from the trajectory from this point on. Because she had taken care of him since he was very young. So Johan's personality would definitely become better according to the original story. Even if there was a problem, she could always boast that she was his benefactor. Eureka suddenly turned around and looked at the letter. Now that this letter has been sent, we will receive a reply within the next week. And then will we meet? Eureka seemed to really want to see Johan again. She was very curious about what Johan's life would be like after he grew up. Every night under the lonely moonlight, Johan's mood seemed to be the same. He always secretly missed the image of the small acorn that he always kept with him. He wondered where Momo was and what she was doing right now. It only strengthened his desire to find her. Suddenly from afar, his attendant opened the door and rushed in. He reported that according to the Duke's orders, the Duchess and Prince Tezin had been locked in the basement. Then Jahan ordered his attendant to chase after those who had escaped at all costs. In addition to reporting, there was also a letter sent from Medeste. Johan then opened the letter, curious as to why someone from Medeste would send him a letter at this hour. Then he looked at the contents of the letter with a surprised expression. A little angry. He then crumpled it up and threw it into a corner. Jahan told his attendant not to bother with it, it wasn't worth paying attention to, it wasn't even worth replying to, marriage was really meaningless. The guy began to feel the Duke's incomprehension but still advised him to reply quickly. In order to control the high society in the capital, he couldn't turn Medeste into his enemy. Johan turned around and replied, "Why would I control them? I just want to live happily with the girl I love." His attendant was frightened and worried and persuaded Johan, although that is the case, the rumors that Lord Johan is a villain, I mean that he is a cold person, are not exactly good for you. Don't you think such rumors will reach the ears of the person you care about? But Johan then said that the rumors didn't matter because she already knew his good sides. But Johan secretly thought again, the problem is the problem, if Momo sees me involved with Medeste, she might misunderstand me. I can't let that happen, I will go straight to the Medeste ducal residence tomorrow. The fact that they sent such a letter, shows that they really want to marry me. In order to prevent them from saying anything else in the future, Johan wanted to ask them to cancel the marriage and return immediately. Eureka stared blankly at the Duke. And wondered what she was here for. Since discovering this place, every time her mind was overloaded, she would come to this place. This place was quiet and very suitable for sorting out her thoughts, and it brought a comfortable feeling like everyone was quietly listening to her heart. Eureka stood there dumbfounded, thinking for a long time. Finally, the war is over, Duke. The Empire has won and everyone is rejoicing, social gatherings have also started to return. But in reality, the end of the war is also an important thing for me. Because the temple side has started to operate again. Eureka has never forgotten the temple's suspicious behavior. She didn't understand why they had to lie about her not having any abilities, just to bring her back. And Muriel said that the ancestors of the Medeste house were beast men, like a common legend in any noble family. She also tried to find out but couldn't find any useful information in the family's archives. But the legend of the Medeste beast men, and the disappearance of the children, and the temple's management of the divine beasts, she couldn't help but feel that there was some connection between these things. Hopefully that was just a random thought, but it wouldn't hurt to carefully confirm. Suddenly, a servant came to inform her that the doctor had arrived. Eureka secretly looked up at the painting and smiled proudly. "Please support me." Right from inside the palace, Muriel suddenly shouted. Not knowing what was happening, why did Lord Johan come here? He came that day without notice? The servant replied, I told him to contact us about the next time he came. Muriel was horrified because she hadn't prepared anything, but suddenly Lord Johan demanded to see her immediately. Could it be that he wanted to marry her so much that he rushed over here? Muriel scratched her head and started to panic. What did I do the first time that made Lord Johan fall in love? Could it be that he is the type of person who easily falls into the trap of love? What should I do? I need to call Eureka. But no, Eureka is currently visiting Mother with Nennet, right? The consultation hasn't been going on for long. If I suddenly call Eureka, Mother will be very worried. So she wanted to greet him herself first. Suddenly a servant came to announce a message from Eureka. In the letter. Sister, I just heard from the butler that Lord Johan has come here. I will get there as quickly as possible, so please try to stall for as long as possible. Even if a noisy scene breaks out. At this time, the family doctor also came to treat Eureka. He suggested that when she was free, they should enjoy a cup of tea together. But he was tactfully rejected by her. Because she had a guest, she needed to go there immediately. Hearing that, he obediently had to accept. But outwardly, her face really didn't look good at all. The worry and anxiety were clearly visible on Eureka's face. It's just that Eureka felt that Johan's sudden arrival was a bit worrying because she hadn't prepared anything. She then asked the doctor if he had any medicine that would make people look pale. Renat was suddenly asked like that, which made him a little surprised. Why are you looking for a medicine that makes your appearance pale? Do you want to appear pitiful in front of someone? So you want to ask if such a medicine exists? It was really unexpected that in this world, such unreasonable things could happen. However, it is a medicine that reverses the flow of magical energy, causing a person's complexion to deteriorate rapidly, and it has not yet been released on the market. But because I have developed it, its safety and effectiveness have been guaranteed. She was curious, but why would a doctor like him create something like that? Renat then spoke up with a sinister and terrifying expression. When the academy tried to pressure me to stay, I planned this medicine and used the excuse of recovering my health to evade. It is often said that kind people can be even more terrifying when they put their heart and soul into something. Then he gave the tested medicine to her and was sure that he had tested it himself, so she didn't need to worry. Eureka didn't think much and drank it immediately. After drinking that medicine, she felt the taste was not bad, but something was very strange. Suddenly her pupils began to blur and her mind was a little dizzy. Eureka began to feel the medicine take effect. When it was effective, she couldn't stand still and had to be supported by Renat. But strangely, it seemed that Eureka had quickly felt the effects of the medicine. Eureka couldn't stand still, so she clung to Renat. Headaches and dizziness kept swirling around Eureka's body. So she asked for help from Renat, which made him blush with embarrassment. Then he helped her to the main hall. Eureka stopped asking for help from the doctor, but looking at her face, he became even more worried. It seemed that the effect was a bit strong, so Renat suggested that he wanted to quickly check her health. Just standing from outside the room, a familiar cold voice of a man rang out, "I will meet His Majesty soon and talk to him about cancelling the marriage." Johann had arrived and he wanted to quickly finish the marriage and leave immediately. Suddenly Johann felt a strange noise from outside, so he turned to look. The image of that girl made him open his eyes and look in surprise. The girl that he had been searching for all this time was in front of him. He quickly came forward and called her by her intimate name and asked why she was here. Just a few minutes ago, Muriel was struggling and worrying that if she caused a noisy scene, she had to stall for as long as possible until Eureka appeared. And what would make him lose interest in her? While Muriel was trying to find an excuse to cause a distraction and a bad impression, Johann was rushing in outside. He opened the door and rushed into the room, ignoring his attendant who was panicking and worried about stopping him. As soon as he met, Johann greeted her with his cold eyes. Muriel was even more surprised that a prince like him could enter the office at will. She stared at Johann, standing opposite him with a cold demeanor that froze the entire study. Those eyes and that face were even more oppressive than before. The entire hall was full of murderous aura. Looking at that icy expression made Muriel feel overwhelmed and she started to tear up inside. But she told herself to stay calm and follow Eureka's instructions. Muriel started speaking to the prince first. "You are too rude to appear like this without replying to letters." Johann didn't care about her words at all. He coldly replied, "That's a very fair comment, miss." Johann's overwhelmingness made Muriel, who was already inferior, even weaker. She hesitated and didn't understand what he meant at all, but that cold voice had overwhelmed this entire situation. As the heir to the prestigious High Lord family and a war hero, I can completely understand why you don't want to lose me. He pressed close to her and said in a threatening voice, "But I don't feel obligated to fulfill that wish." Muriel hadn't understood what he meant yet, but Johann went straight to the point because he didn't want to waste any words anymore. He wanted both of them to cancel the marriage quickly. But it wasn't that simple to just cancel it. Muriel was dumbfounded. She didn't expect that, contrary to expectations, that cold and arrogant man would resolutely cancel the marriage. Before leaving, Johann added a few words, "If you have any opinions." "It doesn't matter because I have already decided on this opinion." Muriel began to try to speak her heart. She also wanted to cancel this marriage, not like what he thought. Immediately, he wanted to quickly draft a marriage cancellation document to petition the emperor. The content is that Johann Hired and Miss Medeste hereby cancel the marriage arranged according to the decree. Even in those short moments, Muriel hadn't woken up and didn't understand what was happening. She secretly thought, this is the result we are all hoping for, but Eureka said that she will side with Hired politically, so they will not easily give up Medeste like this. She wondered if she had missed anything. Muriel tried to add a few words, asking the prince to stop and wait until Eureka appeared. Muriel said that she also had a younger sister named Eureka. She was also a Medeste young lady, so please wait a moment. But Johann still insisted that it was not necessary to wait. Even if it is your sister or anyone else, I no longer want to be involved with the Medeste family. No matter what, that will be a burden and inconvenience to me. Hearing the prince say that, Muriel became angry in her heart. She secretly thought, he hasn't even met Eureka and he can say such bitter words. Just at the right time, Eureka heard from outside that her sister hoped she would never meet the prince. Anyway, Muriel tried her best to add a few suggestions to the prince. I want to add a clause that this cannot be cancelled under any circumstances. Do you agree? Johann agreed but wanted to make sure that the young lady of the Modeste family in the document was like the original decree, so that I can write that I don't want to be involved with any of you. Muriel only forced a smile and tried to be as amicable as possible to ensure to the prince, such a thing will never happen. When the petition was written. Although you are extremely rude and bitter, I hope you are a person who keeps your word and is responsible. You must not break your word. Johann could guarantee this, telling her to rest assured, I never say one thing and do another. Then he followed suit and turned to leave. While opening the door, he said, I will meet His Majesty soon and I will inform him about the cancellation of the marriage today. Neither Johann nor Muriel could have imagined that the cancellation of the marriage could be resolved so easily. For Johann, now he only needed to find his beloved Momo. But unexpectedly, only after opening the door did he see Momo. She looked unwell and was being supported by a strange man. He quickly came closer and asked why she was here. Could this be a dream? All his life he had only hoped to quickly find her and she had appeared before his eyes. Those hands gently trembled and touched that small girl. Suddenly Muriel appeared from behind, calling Eureka and saying that everything had been resolved, which stunned Johann. When he heard the name Eureka that he had just rejected, he didn't expect that the person Muriel had just mentioned was the person he had been searching for all this time. Just stunned because he couldn't believe this was the truth. Muriel interrupted and said the situation, we have just finished drafting the marriage cancellation document and confirmed that it will not be changed. She smiled calmly and said as a joke that his personality was very bad but he would not break his word, causing Johann to freeze behind. From the moment he met him until now, Eureka had not been able to say a word. She suddenly distanced herself and thanked the prince, which made him feel uneasy. Eureka smiled and wanted to express her gratitude, asking Johann for a little bit of time. Both of them confided together. Eureka also opened her mouth first. Thanks to those conditions, I was able to safely return to being human. Just having shown a cold attitude, Johann was able to gently respond to her words. I'm glad that you have successfully returned to being human. I have always wondered where you were and if you were well. Eureka's emotions were the same. She always regretted the sudden and short separation of the two. I am also very happy that you have returned safely after the long conquest. Johann looked at Eureka intently. He secretly thought, it is her warm smile that has not changed at all. Not long ago, I always thought that I was the only one who could see that smile, but that I was the only one who could help you become human, to become your family. But now you have other members. Suddenly Johann began to be jealous of the man next to her just now. He then immediately asked, who was the man who was with you before? Eureka didn't think much and immediately explained that it was Renat, the doctor of this family, also her friend. Hearing the word friend, Johann thought to himself that that person was not her fiancé. Eureka began to understand what he meant. She secretly said, actually, I used to live in an orphanage before being adopted. So I'm still worried about my background, can you keep it a secret? I'm still worried about the temple that was looking for me before. Mentioning the temple. Johann secretly thought, don't worry about the outside of the temple, in fact, I have already taken care of it myself before you. Suddenly Eureka's complexion became unusually pale, which made him worry. Even she didn't know the reason why, but now she felt unusually nauseous. She needed to call Renat immediately. Before she could finish speaking, Eureka was dizzy and fell. Suddenly she transformed back into a beast. Again became a small squirrel. At the same time, Muriel and Renat were drinking tea in the study. She felt very relieved that the marriage was cancelled without any major problems. But she was a little worried because Hyrid is even more arrogant and rude than the rumors said. I'm a little worried about leaving Eureka alone with such a person. Muriel saw a slightly strange shade on her sister's face, so she asked Renat about the situation. Eureka didn't look very well just now. Is she okay? Is she okay? Hearing that, Renat quickly explained. Because just now he had given her a bottle of medicine that made her look paler at her request, that was why her expression was not good. Muriel worriedly and curiously asked, that medicine really doesn't have any side effects? She looks really unwell. Renat then said that even though Miss Eureka said that she was okay, it seemed like her condition had actually worsened after using that medicine. He couldn't help but think that he might have made a mistake with the prescription. So he didn't know what had happened to her. Eureka suddenly returned to her squirrel form again, it seemed to be due to the side effects of the medicine. She didn't even know that she could turn back into a squirrel, since she had successfully become a human 5 years ago, but suddenly she was back like this. She was scratching her head and thinking, it seemed that because it was a medicine that had broken the magic, it might not affect normal people, but it might have a harmful effect on spirit beasts. Like her. Unexpectedly, Ryrad's big hand suddenly hugged the small body of the squirrel. In front of his completely bewildered face. Not understanding why she had suddenly turned back into a squirrel, could it be that her transformation into a human was not complete? As for Eureka, being able to see him at such a close distance. He had indeed grown up a lot. Even his hands were bigger than before. She stared at him blankly and thought secretly, seeing him in squirrel form again really made her realize how much Johann had grown. But she had to immediately put away those infatuated thoughts because now she had to find a way to transform back into human form. He understood her meaning and actions that she was wanting to transform back into human form in the small squirrel form, looking extremely cute. In addition, now she only needed to take some of his strength, and she would easily transform back to her old form. But first, for convenient communication, Eureka thought that she should still try to transform back into human form first. She had to take a little vitality from Johann's power. Indeed, just touching him would have an immediate effect. She thought secretly that she had worried that she would have to replenish the magic in 50 days, but perhaps this was only a temporary effect of the medicine. But suddenly she remembered. If she transformed into human form in this form, she would definitely be stark naked. So she had to quickly jump down to the pile of clothes before returning. The small squirrel quickly jumped out of Johann's arms. She had to be quick, otherwise she would be stark naked in front of Johann. Just as Johann was looking over, he saw the appearance of her just barely taking a dress to cover her body. Eureka stiffened with embarrassment. Then she shouted, "Don't look." At this time, Muriel and Renat were also coming in the hallway. Hearing her scream, both of them started to panic, afraid that something had happened to her. So they hurriedly ran over. Arriving outside, they knocked on the door and called her name. During that time, our young couple was embarrassed and chagrined, afraid that those two would see this scene. Eureka was both afraid and quickly told Johann to help her tie her dress. He was embarrassed and turned red like a charcoal stove about to burn. Outside, Muriel felt that both of their voices were very strange, exactly, even Hyrid was a little flustered. Renat thought that he had to rush inside quickly, forgetting all the cumbersome etiquette, and he was sure that something had happened. Muriel was even more worried when she heard that, so she approved his request. Renat opened the door wide for both of them to rush in. But in that surprised look. Fortunately, Eureka had adjusted her clothes to greet them calmly, but Johann couldn't restrain his emotions and embarrassment. Outside, she was trying to appear calm, but deep inside, Eureka felt as if she had lost 10 years of her life. Almost those two had found out. Renat asked curiously if both of them were okay. They both looked breathless. Hearing that, Johann was speechless and turned to the side, while Eureka was trying to explain that she had just gone to the terrace to enjoy the sun because it was very beautiful today. She forced a smile and assured that she was definitely okay. Her complexion had also returned to normal. It seemed that the medicine just now had too much effect. By the way, she distracted him and asked Renat if he could make as much of that pale medicine as possible for her, but Renat said that it was not a very complicated medicine. So it was not difficult to make, but what was she going to use so much for? She thought that she would need to use it occasionally, so she persuaded Renat to make it for her. After that, Eureka wanted to push the two of them out because they had verified her condition. She chased the two of them away in bewilderment. Renat felt that for some reason Lord Johann looked even worse than her. Looking at his complexion, it seemed that he was the one who needed to be treated here. At the same time, Johann was only thinking about the image just now when Momo transformed into human form right in front of him. It made him uncontrollably want to go crazy just thinking about it. While he was thinking randomly, Eureka waved and called Johann. She offered to apologize to him because perhaps it had affected his mood. It had been a long time since she had transformed, so she had forgotten how it worked. It was indeed an accident recently. Johann tried to forget about it to ask why she had transformed into that form. In Eureka's optimistic thinking, she wasn't sure, but according to her guess, she wanted to test it again, so she asked if Johann could help her. Soon when he came to the temple to attend the victory celebration, she wanted to take this opportunity to go with him, in her squirrel form hiding in his sleeve. Hearing that, Johann was a little surprised. The war ended earlier than expected. Deep inside the Ravenna temple, they were discussing with the high priest that a hero had been born at the moment the elixir was developed. He started to get annoyed. He didn't expect that Hyrid's eldest son would be such an extraordinary mage. We should have realized that since the Duchess was wary of him. Ravenna then mentioned the divine beast that was sent to Hyrid in the past. Considering that he was staying in the same place with Johann Hired, the possibility that it had transformed into a human could not be ruled out. The high priest again felt that the divine beast had not died when it was retrieved. Even the Hired crest was engraved on its chest. However, the appearance of this adopted daughter of Modest at that time was even more suspicious. With a direct descendant of Hired, isn't engraving a crest a difficult thing? There are many suspicious things to worry about this. The high priest started to have a headache because of this mess. He then said that even so, they were no longer people that they could easily deal with. Johann Hired is now a war hero and that adopted daughter is protected by the Modeste family, we can't do anything now. However, Ravenna seemed to have some kind of insidious plan and suggested that she would directly intervene in this matter herself and investigate it herself. On the day of the festival as expected. On Jaden's carriage. He was reading the sensational news in this morning's newspaper that Johann Hired, after arriving in the capital, had cancelled his marriage to Mariel Medist. That's why he had to set off immediately because he was worried about the children at home, but he didn't expect Johann to come to Medist first. Everything seemed to have been resolved too easily, which made people wonder if something else had happened. After traveling a distance, Jaden heard the whispers on both sides of the street. They were discussing the latest news of the Hired family. Johann had locked the Duchess and Baron Tezen in the underground prison. Then he became the Duke and fired all the staff, even if she was a harsh stepmother. That was a cruel thing to do to the person who raised him, Jaden thought secretly, what a complicated family. Then he turned around and continued reading the newspaper, sighing with relief because the marriage had also been cancelled without any problems. They were also determined to cancel it. So they would definitely not change their minds. According to the news in the newspaper, Duke Hired contradicted himself. After saying that he didn't need a victory celebration, he suddenly asked the temple to organize it again. But that surprise made Jaden realize an unusual point. Duke Hired came to Medist every day to meet Miss Eureka. What was the reason for the unusual behavior after breaking up? He started to get angry, his blood rushed to his brain because he dared to reject the marriage, but this guy still visited Eureka every day. He then realized Johann's real purpose. It seemed that all wills were heading towards the fact that he wanted to re-establish the marriage. Meanwhile, Johann was still tormented every day, thinking about his thoughtless actions. Was there any way to stop this marriage cancellation? Every day when he met Eureka, he tossed and turned, wishing that there was some kind of magic to turn back time. Returning to reality, Eureka didn't expect Johann to have actually cancelled all the victory celebrations and asked him to take her to the event without any specific reason. So she felt extremely guilty because he had defamed himself to change for her. Although for him that was nothing compared to the marriage, Eureka felt guilty when everyone started to misunderstand him and think he was a strange person who was bothering the temple. Johann smiled gently and comforted her that he didn't care about those things very much. Eureka was endlessly touched, thinking secretly that he was really very kind. Why did such strange rumors keep appearing around him? Just as Johann announced that the victory celebration would take place next month, they said it should have been sooner, but this was the best they could do. She then wondered if she should do a few more experiments with the elixir Renat gave before setting off. But more dangerous than now, the royal family has acted. Because the temple was organizing the victory celebration, the royal family announced that they would also host a victory banquet. And their banquet came sooner than expected. Before Johann spoke, Eureka had already guessed more or less. Considering the influence of the temple in the empire, the prince would not just stand by and watch that happen. He must have decided that he could not let the temple organize a celebration for the war hero. So she said to Johann to accept the invitation to attend the party if they mentioned it. While he was silent, Johann suddenly called her name again with an embarrassed and flustered look. He asked if she had found someone to attend the banquet with. Just saying those words, but Johann's face turned red. However, Eureka said that she was thinking about it and had also chosen a few familiar people. He started to be afraid of who the familiar person she was mentioning was. A dark and gray sky came. Johann tried to ask who was the familiar person she was mentioning. But Eureka said calmly that the main candidate was him. That made Johann stunned and couldn't believe his ears. Eureka again said that if she went with him, there would be nothing strange even if her sister and His Highness the Prince attended together, and it would further strengthen Modeste's position. Moreover, if she attended as a companion of the main guest of the banquet, the temple would find it more difficult to deal with her. But Johann's thoughts at this time were different. He thought that she had suffered a lot because of the temple, if she had to face that situation again. He swore that if that was what she was worried about, he would definitely crush that temple in one blow. Eureka was very touched when she heard that. But in fact, she had to stop him because he absolutely must not do that. There were some things about the temple that she wanted to confirm. If he destroyed everything, We would not be able to discover the whole truth. So never think about doing that. Suddenly outside, there was an unusually loud noise again. A familiar call was calling her from outside. Eureka heard her name being called with a familiar voice, so she recognized it. The man outside seemed to be her uncle rushing inside. Jaden was shouting and scolding the hateful hero. I heard that he is clinging to you. Hearing that was like rubbing salt into Johan's heart, he froze. Eureka then glanced over at the person who was being badmouthed standing in front of her. Just after speaking, Albert noticed that the two people were looking at him. Johan was about to ask who he was when Eureka quickly ran over and called, Uncle. Johan was very surprised that she had just called that name as uncle. She ran to her uncle and asked why he had suddenly barged in like that, but he still didn't understand much and wondered who this was. Albert spoke up to explain. I'm worried about Eureka after hearing the rumors about the cancellation of the marriage. The two cut off the conversation and turned to look when they heard Johan's greeting. Then he introduced, I am Johan Hired. When he heard Johan say that, the uncle felt as if a blinding light was shining straight into his face. Then he also shook Johan's hand and introduced, I am Jaden Albert, but in his head he kept thinking about Johan not being like the rumors. Eureka stood in the middle and looked at the two people, greeting each other, not understanding anything. After that, Albert mentioned what had just happened, expressing his apology. But Johan happily replied, it's okay, and he also talked about the rumors that made the uncle misunderstand. In Johan's head, a thought had emerged. He had to make a good impression on Eureka's family, if he wanted to think about getting married again. He started to offer to explain everything directly, then Johan pulled Albert to sit down and talk together. Eureka was very happy that the two were getting along so well. But the uncle still didn't understand what was going on. In Albert's head, he started to think, he looks much more normal than I thought. When they had sat down at the table, he started to ask about the relationship between the two. Eureka quickly replied, yes, when I was young, he helped me a lot. She continued to talk about Johan going to war and then losing contact. Then Johan happily reunited with her. Hearing that, Albert also understood. The atmosphere of the conversation was very pleasant. Albert thanked him for helping, but Johan said it was nothing. Albert said he felt relieved when the two of them had known each other before. But he said, can I ask about what was posted in the newspaper? Then he took out the newspaper from his body, saying clearly that he loved his grandchildren very much, so he needed to clarify the rumors outside. Johan confidently replied, of course, please feel free to ask, but Eureka was quite worried. Albert pointed to the newspaper and asked if it was really true that he had cancelled the victory celebration and changed his decision. Eureka was surprised when she heard that. She realized that it was because of her, but her inner self was struggling, not knowing what to do, when she couldn't tell them that she was a divine beast. Johan spoke up to answer, yes, that's right. To honor the efforts of the soldiers, I made a shameless request to restore the event. Eureka exclaimed, he answered quite well. Albert thought and said, if that's the only reason, then it's reasonable. Eureka looked and asked about the newspaper. On the newspaper it wrote about how Duke Hired imprisoned his stepmother and half-brother in the dungeon, with pictures. Johan sat and listened to the content in the newspaper being read out. He confirmed, that is also true. Albert continued to wonder, according to the fired servants, the Duchess provided him with a personal bodyguard and ensured that he was fully treated, so why? Eureka thought sadly and remembered that she had tormented him. There was no treatment at all. Albert also turned to look when he heard her call. Eureka told him that family matters were only really understood by those involved, and instead of relying on rumors, look at the people you see with your own eyes. She always said good things about Johan, making him very touched. The two looked at each other very happily. Albert spoke up to apologize again for the incident of following the rumors, but Johan felt it was okay, and even felt grateful for the opportunity to explain. All the questions had been answered, so the matter was also put aside here. Suddenly Johan saw information about Eureka in the book. He asked, what is that? Albert said, oh, this? Albert explained about the scrapbook of articles about Muriel and Eureka. Johan was also curious when he heard that. Albert offered to look together, but Johan only wanted to see Eureka as a child. He continued to talk about the events in the book. Eureka felt that they were so close, it was really good. Then she noticed the newspaper on the table. Eureka asked, Uncle, what is this? Albert replied, it's a newspaper from the East, I brought it with me just in case. He also said, but it seems that it has not yet been published in the capital's newspapers. The newspaper contained content about the engagement of Prince Theodore, and love at first sight when he saw his fiancée. The woman also had a noble background. Her name is Ravenna Sevs. Eureka was surprised when she heard the name of the second prince's fiancée. To introduce a little about the second Prince Theodore, he is the half-brother of the prince, and a very ambitious character, but in the original story, he cooperated with Johann to restrain the prince, but was ultimately betrayed. Eureka was surprised that she had never heard of the name Renita Sevs. She had a hunch that something was wrong, wondering if this could happen in the storyline. Albert asked if she was interested in this engagement, but Eureka only said, "I'm curious and I haven't even heard of the Sevs family." Neither did Albert, he had never heard of the Sevs family. Eureka continued to ponder, "I'll read more information about this family, but I also don't know how a royal engagement could be so quiet in the capital." She was too focused. She didn't notice Johann asking her. She thought of something and said to Johann, "If this news is true, and the engagement is announced at the victory party, the star of the party will be." Johann replied, "It's Prince Theodore." Then he pointed to the picture of the prince's fiancé, the person he brought as a companion. Eureka was worried that the plan would be ruined. She had considered potential partners, Renat and Uncle Jaden, but if things were like this, then another partner was needed. She turned to say, "Johann, I solemnly ask you," which made the uncle not know what she was doing. She was proposing an important factor, which could win and be beneficial to his political position. Then she directly asked if he could be her companion. The scene had switched to the second prince's castle. There were footsteps of someone. It was Renita Sevs, and then she spoke up to greet the prince. The prince also turned to greet his fiancée. He then mentioned what he wanted her to bring, which was the divine beast squirrel. The day of the party was coming soon. Johann and Eureka were walking together, thinking about the plan. She spoke up and asked him first, "If we appear together as companions at the party, everyone will definitely talk about it." Then she talked about him being so noble and radiant, but she was just an orphan adopted from an orphanage. She came up with a thought, "I think it's better that we agree on the story of how we met from before." Johann looked and called her name. Eureka felt a pang because she only considered him a good friend. But she still focused on thinking about the story to deal with at the party. In Johann's head, he was also thinking, if I just like that, marry Eureka, then it would only be a political marriage, and in that case, Eureka would never consider me a man. Johann thought of another better solution, which was that he would seduce Eureka again from the beginning. And spoke up to offer her about the plan he had thought of. She also listened to him. Johann started to act, holding her hand and saying, "When I came to Duke D'Este's residence to cancel the marriage." He made a gesture, acting as if it was real, and continued, "Then I fell in love with you at first sight." Then Johann praised her for being so beautiful, making her blush with embarrassment. The opportunity to take her hand, he said the reason was that he visited the residence every day. Eureka gently called, "Johann." She was happy that he thought of a very good idea, to explain the reason for often coming to her house. Johann felt disappointed. He had done that and she didn't believe it at all. Eureka made a bold suggestion, "We can say that we are lovers and are considering getting engaged." Johann shyly asked her with interest, "Should we get engaged now or what's the opportunity?" But she smiled and said, "No, it's not the time yet, there will be a better time for that." Then the two agreed with the plan that Johann proposed, and she was happy that the problem had been solved. Johann breathed a sigh of relief, because there was no other way. He thought he needed more time to win Eureka's heart. Ahead was a magnificent castle, a place for the children of the powerful to participate in enjoying tea. Two young ladies were sitting together enjoying tea and talking about the post-war party. Miss Muriel said that there were a lot of invitations to the party, but she didn't go to any of them. Eureka asked her sister if she used the reason of health to reject the previous parties, right? Muriel admitted and didn't want to reveal that she was the prince's companion. Eureka told her that it was the right move. If that matter was not revealed, then everyone would talk about their relationship. Outsiders would think that Muriel, who had been engaged to the war hero before, had given her heart to the prince. And those criticisms would accuse the two of them of disregarding the royal promise. Because of that, Muriel thought it was better to avoid social gatherings and be discreet during this time. Eureka nodded in agreement, but she asked again, "Eureka." Then she continued, "Are you really not attending any social gatherings?" The question was quite unexpected, so Eureka was a little surprised and didn't know what to say. The older sister was worried that Eureka wasn't going out to socialize, and didn't have any friends of her age. But she smiled and said it was okay, taking Johann as a shield. From Muriel's point of view, Johann's eyes looking at Eureka didn't look like a friend at all. Eureka picked up the cup of tea. She said, "Sister," she repeated playfully, "perhaps you have forgotten, but I am also a beast, and my nature is a squirrel." Muriel also exclaimed, "That's right." Muriel realized she had said the wrong thing, stammered, "Squirrels are very cute, so they are not really beasts." "I mean, they are indeed beasts," but Eureka's expression was very happy. She was joking with Muriel. But in Eureka's head, she still thought, what my sister said is also true. She sank into the darkness of her heart and thought, basically, I'm just an animal living in a human body. If the real Eureka is still alive and returns one day, then what will I be like? She thought, the family will give all their love to the real Eureka, and I will have to leave here. The darkness of her heart enveloped her, and she thought to herself that she was not worthy, because she was not the real Eureka, and felt sorry for herself, because she didn't have a real friend. Suddenly, she stood up and said goodbye to Muriel that she had to go first. Her sister asked her, are you going to the city center today, right? Eureka greeted and told her sister to rest assured, but in her head she thought, instead, I have created many other things. In the city center at this time it was already late afternoon, and people were gradually decreasing. A mysterious person appeared in the city, covered in a cloak. She worked for Medeste to collect information, monitor the activities of the temple, and trade with various information guilds. This person walked to the front of a room. The History Guild was the guild she was closest to among the guilds. She opened the hood of her cloak. It turned out to be Eureka. She spoke up to greet everyone. The head of the History Information Guild, named Lean, was surprised that Miss Eureka had come in person today. Lean was happy to meet Eureka in person, because she was planning to send a letter to inform her. The two sat down together. Uriah anxiously asked, so, what is the news that you were planning to send me? Holding the papers in her hand, the news that the head of the guild announced was not good. Someone was spreading malicious rumors about her. The rumor had content that Lean told, in which she was called a spoiled, arrogant adopted daughter, and a cunning orphan who had deceived the innocent Miss Muriel. Tracing the origin of these rumors, it seemed that they originated from the Seth's baronial house in the east. Eureka thought, I suspected them since I heard the name, I was right. She realized something, they are targeting me, could it be that my identity has been suspected? She instructed the head of the guild to monitor more closely, because it might be related to the temple, but for the time being she still asked to leave it alone and see how it goes. But Lean still had questions she wanted to ask Eureka. She reminded Eureka to be careful, because she was attending the victory party with Earl Hyrod as a companion. Eureka sat and listened to Lean's rambling about the bad mage, needing to be wary of Johann. While enjoying tea, she was also shocked by Lean's words. She said to Lean with dissatisfaction that she was old, but the head of the guild still considered her a cute child. Eureka said to her, it's okay, then she said that Johann was kind and a good person, but Lean was still skeptical. The main work was done, Eureka stood up and prepared to go first, but Lean felt that she was leaving a little early. She said goodbye to the head of the guild. Lean didn't forget to tell Eureka to tell her if anything happened. She had left but Lean's face was still very worried. Eureka walked with many thoughts, when everything was almost dealt with, and hoping that the party would go smoothly. The day of the party had arrived. In the royal palace, there were many nobles, chatting together. Two people at the party were talking about Prince Theodore having returned after a period of recuperation. And the prince looked much healthier. Then the second prince of the empire, Theodore Role, appeared with a rather high charm. Everyone talked even more when they saw the woman accompanying him. Some people also recognized that this was the young lady from the Seth's family. The two were together. And it was normal for everyone to be curious. Prince Theodore leaned close to Miss Ravenna and whispered, because my marriage is also being threatened, I sincerely hope that this matter will bring good results. Ravenna smiled and replied skillfully. She reassured the second prince not to worry, he reminded her of the debt and considered it a fair deal. Because he had kept it a secret that she was a mage. Ravenna strongly agreed with Prince Theodore's decision, because it was beneficial to both sides. She was worried that if the truth was revealed, he would be sent to the battlefield and lose his position in the battle for the throne with the prince. If it was true, it would mean that the temple would not be able to maintain its influence over the royal family anymore. Prince Theodore continued to talk about how the elixir of peace had made everything easier, and the mages didn't need to go to the temple anymore, but he still felt that the blessing from the divine beast was much better. Miss Ravenna had heard the prince mention the divine beast many times, and still didn't know how big the difference was. In the second prince's head, he thought about the little squirrel, and then said, of course it's completely different, the blessing that the squirrel brought the first time was very unique. Ravenna felt that the prince was very insightful, worthy of being a mage, and that squirrel was a powerful divine beast, that was transmitted the magic power of Duke Medest. Speaking of the elixir of peace, the prince remembered the blessing of the little squirrel, and hoped to have that feeling again. The second prince and Miss Sevs looked in one direction as if something was attracting them. Johann and Eureka walked in arm, the servant spoke up to introduce them. Eureka was very interested because there were many people here, because it was the post-war party, many noble families were present. But she sighed, finding it too ostentatious. She heard people talking about her being an adopted child. As soon as she arrived, she heard people talking about the rumors. She sighed, when she herself was the one who allowed the rumors to be spread. So, they must not be disappointed, and Eureka would do the same actions as the rumors said. She looked up at Johan. What she was concerned about was him. Johan looked at her, asking Eureka what was wrong, but she felt guilty when dancing with Johan, afraid of hurting his reputation, and this was also his first party. Eureka looked at Johan and thought that after this matter, the rumor would be that she was rejected, and then she happily said, "I am still grateful that you agreed to be my dance partner today." But Johan was very happy to be escorting her, and also felt that he was lucky to be chosen. However, he still kept in his heart the harsh words before coming. Before the party, he had listened to his subordinate advising him that meeting the person you like doesn't mean that the story ends there. If every couple was perfect, then why would there be love conflicts, right? He explained to Johan that this was a dance where young nobles gathered in their most beautiful clothes, and he talked about the prospect of someone noticing Miss Eureka. Then what would Johan do? Because after all, love rivals are often in places like that. Johan also thought deeply when he heard that. He was thinking too intently, so Eureka asked, "Are you okay?" But he was actually just thinking, because it was okay, he would be more vigilant when walking with Eureka. Johan offered Eureka to stand next to him, while saying that he took her hand and pulled her closer to him. Someone was standing and watching the two of them talk in the back. It was the second prince who was enjoying the wine and noticed the two of them. It was now time for the king to read the speech praising Johan. The words of praise were still being read, but he was thinking that when he intended to be next to Eureka, but now it seemed that the two of them were being separated and he was annoyed by these speeches. Eureka, standing on one side, also felt that this speech was a bit long, feeling that she would take a walk herself. Hearing the back part mention Johan being imprisoned, Eureka saw that this was not really a speech praising the spirit of fighting. Behind her, someone had noticed her. They continued to mock her as an orphan, not a real noble. Those people criticized her for dressing ostentatiously, and also told her to consider herself a real noble, always talking about the Duchess of Medist, and predicting the situation if the Duchess returned. Eureka smiled, so it was too true to her intention. She walked away, because she didn't know what to do just now, but now the opportunity had come, thinking that group would be her bait. Eureka walked over to greet the three girls who were talking about her. She asked directly when those people were talking about her, and they cursed inwardly that she was a rude person for listening to other people's conversations. Eureka calmly retorted, "You are the ones who gossiped loud enough for everyone to hear, wouldn't that be rude?" She confidently said to them, "Perhaps you haven't realized, but Duke Hyrule is fascinated by me." Hearing that, the pink-haired girl was very surprised. She continued to put them down, strongly saying that if she became the Duchess of Halard, their actions would be troublesome. The pink-haired girl was angry when she heard her say that, and shouted back at Eureka, who pretended not to be afraid, threatening her, "These meaningless threats of yours can't scare me." Eureka startled and intentionally spilled wine on her dress. The two people standing together were surprised when her dress was soiled. A woman spoke up to greet everyone. On this side, the pink hair was still scolding Eureka terribly. Ravenna came to greet them, standing between the two people who were in conflict. She spoke up to teach them that when His Majesty was speaking, they were making a mess like that. This was true to Eureka's thoughts. When she caused a commotion, Ravenna would approach. Ravenna took a glass of wine, and then told them to resolve the matter peacefully. Her hand held 2 glasses of wine, considering it as a gift of goodwill, and gave Eureka 1 glass. Eureka was also quite surprised when she did that. She suspected that there was something in the glass. It might be related to the temple. Because she had taken a bold step, Eureka didn't want to take a risk, and tactfully refused Ravenna's glass of wine. Then she changed direction, inviting Miss Eladrai to enjoy this glass of wine in her place. Eureka spoke up and asked, "Miss Eladrai, you will definitely accept Miss Sevs's reconciliation, right?" And she reluctantly agreed. Uriah felt that was enough. Suddenly she startled. Right at this moment, Prince Theodore walked over and smiled gently, standing right behind Eureka, surprising her. Prince Theodore. Eladrai respectfully greeted him when she saw him. "Your Highness, it's an honor to meet you." Prince Theodore gently said to them, "I understand everyone's eagerness for the party after a long time, but we should not make a mess on such a good day." After that, he announced to everyone, "Please listen to the Emperor's speech." Eureka wondered, did the prince personally intervene? Could it be that he was not simply being used by Miss Sevs? The second prince turned to say to her, "Then, Miss, let's put this matter aside for now." He took the glass of wine in her hand and said, "For now, I will keep this." Theodore calmly took the glass of wine from Eureka's hand. Theodore was silent, his expression unpredictable, seeming to have deep thoughts. Eureka had a bewildered expression, rubbed her wrist and thought carefully, if he suddenly interrupted and even took the glass of wine, it can be certain that both are related to this matter. If the prince had intervened, she couldn't do anything at this time. She decided to retreat temporarily. After thinking, she politely thanked, "Thank you, Your Highness, for mediating. I will take my leave." After that, Eureka intended to leave, but Theodore held her hand to keep her. He gently held her hand and asked, "Miss, what is your name?" Eureka replied a little worriedly, "Eureka Metist." She thought secretly, what, did he deliberately touch me just now? Theodore smiled warmly and asked her, "Could it be that we have met somewhere before?" Eureka widened her eyes and asked back, "Yes?" She thought, what kind of cheap flirting is this? Suddenly, the second prince laughed. Eureka was surprised and confused. Then he calmly said to her, "If you don't remember, then forget it." After that, he turned and left and said, "We will talk later." Eureka was stunned when she heard him say that. What just happened? Wait, could it be that seducing me is part of their plan? On the other hand, a prince respectfully knelt and greeted in front of the emperor. Johann glanced in another direction, his eyes deep. He looked at Eureka going with Theodore and wondered, does the second prince know Eureka? If the prince intervened, things would be much more complicated. According to an ancient treaty, mages are bound not to use magic against royalty. Johann observed and carefully thought, if the prince cooperates with Sef's plot, our situation will be extremely disadvantageous. I need to be absolutely vigilant. A voice rang out, and so the speech ended. Please enjoy the party. The people below excitedly applauded. At this time, someone's footsteps slowly approached. Eureka heard him approach and called out, "Johann." She quickly rushed over and hugged him. "Eureka." She looked up, gently saying, "I missed you so much. Even a little separation, I can't bear it. From now on, you must always be by my side." Johann was embarrassed when he heard her say that, blushing and thinking, she missed me? And she wants me to be by her side? Does that mean she wants to be together forever? In the meantime, Eureka whispered to signal him, "Johann, hurry up, act like a couple according to the plan." Johann seemed to understand, ah. Then he smiled secretly, looking at her with happy eyes. After that, he reached out and hugged her waist, pressing her into his body, looking at Eureka with affectionate eyes. Then he said, "How can I leave someone as beautiful as you?" Johann used his hand to touch her face and said emotionally, "When the party ends, I will fill your room with the most precious gems to make up for my longing. Every time you see them, think of me." Eureka was embarrassed when she heard him say that, exclaiming, "What, how is he so good at this? It sounds almost very sincere." In the royal palace, everyone danced happily under the warm lights. Johann and Eureka also danced hand in hand to the melodious music. While they were dancing, Johann whispered to Eureka, "Eureka, do you know Prince Theodore?" She replied to him when she heard that, "No, this is the first time I've met him." She looked at the second prince and said, "Even so, it's suspicious to see him approach me with Sevs." Johann also glanced at the direction of Prince Theodore, who was dancing with an unpredictable look when he heard that. Then he said seriously to Eureka, "Anyway, I feel uneasy, so try to avoid being alone with him as much as possible." He said and hugged her waist tightly. Eureka looked at him a little surprised and replied, "Okay, I know, don't worry too much." Then both of them stopped, standing opposite each other when the music ended. Johann and Eureka bowed to each other. Johann spoke up, "Eureka, I think we are very compatible, even when dancing. I will try my best to be by your side as your other half forever." Eureka smiled happily and replied, "Oh my, I'm already looking forward to it just hearing it." She thought secretly, Johann, at this point, he really could be a genius actor. At this time, there was chatter next to her, "TSK, it seems that Duke Hyrod has completely fallen for her." Whispers rang out more and more. What means did she use to seduce him? The Duke is only on the battlefield, so he probably doesn't know much about the outside world. So that must have made him an easy target. Well, they won't last long, there are many more worthy young ladies in the capital. Johann heard that and angrily turned red, saying, "Should I destroy them?" Eureka smiled and advised, "Calm down, Johann." She thought, their influence is really terrible. It's okay, if things continue like this, the opportunity to turn the tide will come soon. But suddenly someone appeared in front of them and said, "Excuse me for interrupting everyone's joy at the party, I have good news to share." It was Prince Theodore along with Miss Raverna. Theodore happily announced to everyone, "I want to announce my engagement here, with Miss Raverna of the Sef's family." Raverna smiled gently, looking very happy. The people around also talked about it. "Your Highness, engaged?" "Unlike some other people, she looks dignified, they will be a great couple." Theodore introduced, "Miss Raverna has experience managing a trade association in the East, those who are interested may want to talk to her." The crowd was surprised when they heard that. It's unbelievable that such a young person has managed a trade association. Then they were curious and asked Raverna, what is popular in the East recently? When did you start managing the association? Raverna also replied warmly, haha. I will answer one by one. Recently, leather products are becoming extremely popular in the East. She thought with a dangerous look that when the war ended, the upper class was a great source of income. Collecting wealth to support the temple and the second prince, and if she became an influential figure in the upper class, destroying Eureka Metist's reputation would be as easy as eating cake. If she was disowned by the Metist family, she would take her to the temple for experimentation, and no one would look for her, then she would finally know if she was that squirrel spirit beast. Suddenly at this moment, Eureka shouted loudly from behind, Johann. Raverna turned to look at her and everyone around was also confused. Miss Metist, what's wrong? Why did you suddenly call out like that? Then she said loudly, I also want to get engaged. Making Raverna surprised to look at them, she pressed her body into Johann's arms and said loudly, can we get engaged like this? Her words shocked Johann and everyone there. Followed by whispers, discussions, oh my god, engaged? Did I hear that right? Demanding an engagement like that is shameless. Surely the Duke will not agree to this, right? Eladrai, standing on this side, also angrily gritted her teeth and said, impossible, even if he can sometimes contradict himself, he would not be completely out of his mind like that. Raverna glared angrily, thinking sharply, Miss Metist. Even when she was preparing to talk about business, she attracted everyone's attention. She remembered the past, at that time she wasn't sure, but now it was clear. She bit her nails, her face dangerous, thinking, Miss Metist is also wary of me. I don't know what she will do if I just let things continue like this, I need to reverse the situation again. Before everyone's discussion, Johann smiled and raised his voice, if that is what you want, of course it is okay. That made Raverna even more annoyed, oh no, it's too timely. Johann said affectionately to Eureka, or should we get engaged right here? Eureka, I don't even mind marrying you right away, but you said you didn't want that. The other girls were disappointed when they heard that, what, they have already talked about getting married? Oh Miss Lella, impossible. Eureka, standing in Johann's arms, stammered, not now, Johann, I. Then she said as loudly as she could, I want to get engaged in a beautiful place, with the sea in front and a flower garden behind us. Everyone around was frustrated when they saw that. That's it. Eureka helplessly thought secretly, am I going too far? After seeing Johann act, she was also carried away, so what should she do now? Suddenly there was a loud shout, engaged. It was Muriel who appeared and strongly opposed, no, Eureka, how long have you two known each other? She walked over and grabbed Eureka's shoulders and said emotionally, didn't you say that your ideal type is a kind and gentle person? Eureka was horrified, sister. She thought secretly, it's too timely, but can you calm down a bit? Muriel excitedly tried to persuade Eureka, you are only being blinded by the aura. Please take more time to consider everything. Then she glared with a bullet-like gaze at Johann, I will find a more suitable person for you. Johann frowned and thought, it's not necessary. Eureka began to explain, I think we should follow the correct order, I, as a younger sister, should not get engaged before my older sister. Muriel quickly refused, Eureka, that's not what I mean, suddenly someone spoke up from behind, she's not wrong, miss. He walked over and put his arm around Muriel's shoulders and said, if you want to fulfill Duke Hyrod's wish, we should get engaged quickly. Muriel was surprised, Your Highness? He was His Highness the Prince, Raymond Rollet. The prince gently said to Muriel, it's time to focus on our conversation, we also need to pay our respects to the king. Johann uncomfortably thought secretly, yes, go quickly. Muriel left but also reminded her, Eureka, you must think carefully about this. Eureka happily waved goodbye to her sister, haha, see you later. She happily thought, thanks to Muriel, it seems that the topic has been successfully diverted. Immediately after that, the surrounding crowd reacted strongly, what just happened? His Highness is escorting Miss Metiste, it's just a ceremony after the war, right? But they look very serious with each other. If the engagement of both young ladies takes place like this, Metist will be connected to both the royal family and Hyrod. Eureka was secretly happy when she saw their reactions, great. Like this, Theodore and Raverna's engagement will be completely buried. Now then, should I put a stop to it here? After that, she spoke up, Johann. I want something. Can you prepare an engagement gift for me in advance? She said with a cute look and big, sparkling eyes. Johann looked at her and shyly said, too cute, too adorable, cute, adorable. The others then showed disgust, what is she demanding this time? It must be something extravagant again. Johann immediately put his face close and touched her chin, saying affectionately, just say it, if it's for you, I will do everything. Eureka shyly thought, Johann, aren't you standing a little too close? Then she said, oh, thank you. Johann asked her, so, what do you want? Eureka quickly replied, I heard from my uncle that the artificial leather products are very good these days. Raverna fell silent when she heard that, glancing at them, impossible. She continued, they can be made almost exactly like real leather, without harming animals. You know, furthermore, isn't there a legend about the founder of Medeste being a beast man? So I can't use leather products that harm animals. Hearing this, the two men around there chagrined and fell silent. Eureka started to lament, it's such a relief that there is an alternative choice. The crowd nearby was abuzz, she is often called indifferent and arrogant, but maybe she's not like that. Does that mean using leather products makes me worse than the young lady? Eureka was satisfied to hear them say that, done. But aren't artificial leathers still of inferior quality? Then someone appeared and said, that's old news. Jaden Albert appeared holding a pair of gloves and said, nowadays, artificial leather products are of great quality. Eureka was startled, Uncle. Jaden continued, these are gloves made from artificial leather, they are almost indistinguishable from real leather, right? The crowd seemed to be persuaded before him. Oh wow, it's true, they look exactly like real leather. If Earl Albert says so, it must be true. Raverna and Theodore were stunned as they witnessed everything. Theodore said indifferently, how much leather do we have in stock? Raverna replied, we have bought all the leather in the East. Then he smiled, his expression unpredictable. It seems that in the future, we won't be able to sell any of it. On this side, Jaden and Eureka were still happily introducing the gloves. A moment later, Johann stood quietly outside the door. Inside, Jaden happily chatted with Eureka, he said, how was it, was that move reasonable? Eureka replied, yes, perfect. She thought with satisfaction, everything is going as I predicted. After hearing from the History Guild that the Sev's house had bought a large amount of leather products, I asked my uncle to prepare artificial leather items. Although my uncle's business is located in the East and he is not a great noble in the capital, but he is a successful, famous merchant who has managed many successful business projects, he has enough influence to sway public opinion, no matter what he says. So the plan to make money with a big move, and use that wealth to dominate the upper class and target me, has all fallen apart, huh? Eureka had a smug expression, satisfied, too satisfied. No matter what plan she has next, I will not sit idly by. Suddenly Jaden spoke up and called her, by the way, Eureka. Don't let other people's opinions influence you too much. Outsiders may be talking a lot, but that is just baseless gossip from people who don't really know you, it will subside soon. His words made Eureka stunned. She spoke up and called, Uncle, she smiled calmly and said, but they are not completely wrong, I mean, I'm lucky, this is the truth. Jaden said worriedly, Eureka. That matter, she continued, also. It is true that I am standing in someone else's position. As if realizing that she had done wrong, she startled, I'm so bad, even though I knew it was a rumor deliberately spread by the Sev's house, I still took my anger out on Uncle. Then Jaden spoke up, Eureka. He said seriously, we only call you Eureka for convenience for Miss Sienna, but we have never thought that you were just a replacement. We love you for who you are, so, if you want, just say a word. Do you want to use another name? She thought secretly, another name? That's right, at some point, the name Eureka must also be returned to its true owner, perhaps this is an opportunity to have a real name of my own, but when I really think about changing it. Mother called her Eureka. Sister Muriel also called her Eureka. This name really has meaning to her. Jaden looked at her thoughtfully. After a while, she said, thank you for your offer, Uncle, I will think about it. Suddenly, someone came in. That person called her, Eureka. She turned around and saw. It was Johann, have you been waiting long? He replied, not at all, how was your conversation with the Earl? He left with tearful eyes. It turned out that after talking to her, Johann ran into Earl Jaden walking out of the room, sobbing. The Earl said to him, please allow me to say goodbye. Forgive me. Eureka was surprised, huh? The image of the Earl crying and saying to her immediately appeared in her head, don't think too much, it hurts my heart to see you suffering. She thought secretly. Honestly, he has the softest heart, but to reassure Johann, Eureka smiled and said differently, perhaps you are mistaken. He is not the type of person to suddenly cry like that. He replied, that's right too. While standing next to Johann, she suddenly noticed something. Johann said, it seems that the party is about to end. Eureka replied, everything is going better than expected, that's good, moreover, staying here until this hour means that all the talk about the second prince will be completely buried. Right? After saying that, she imagined the scene of everyone talking about her and him, a boy and a girl in a private room alone. That's scandalous. She said, the upper class is watching our every move. You worked hard today. Oh, and your acting was great. Johan replied, me? She continued, yes, everyone who looks at it will believe that we are a real couple. After saying that, she recalled the scene at that time. She laughed while thinking back, it didn't seem like acting at all, it felt very real, I almost got fooled too. While Johan was silently not knowing what to say, he said, acting? That's not acting. Suddenly, a cold wind passed by, making Eureka shiver. She thought, the wind is too cold, so she completely didn't pay attention to what Johan was saying. She startled and asked back. Huh, what did you just say? Johan took off his coat and put it on her. She was surprised by his thoughtful action. He said, I said that I am very happy to be able to help you, but in his heart he secretly thought, Eureka, what you felt, that was not acting. Every word I said to you today was real. If I said that, would you try to run away? Then Johan said, are you cold? Let's go inside. At this time, Eureka's cheeks were blushing. And she replied shyly, okay. Eureka suddenly looked somewhere, she thought secretly, wait, there's a sound. She looked down and was surprised to be stunned. It was Prince Theodore and Miss Sevs. She quietly leaned closer to Johan, making him blush with embarrassment. Eureka whispered, it's the second prince and Miss Sevs. Why are they sneaking out before the party ends? Right, while we are trying to create rumors, what benefit do they get from getting involved in these scandals? This is our chance, we can find out what they are plotting. But Johan looked a little worried, he said, Eureka, didn't you think about it? She replied, of course. I will use the method we agreed on. Scene changed to a room somewhere, Eureka's red dress was placed on the sofa. Johan asked her, are you sure about this? They might recognize you. Try to avoid the moonlight as much as possible, use bushes for cover, and if anything happens, call me immediately. At this time, Eureka had transformed into a small squirrel. Although she could only make a Q sound, her meaning was very clear, stop it. She continued, avoid the moonlight, use trees, call you if something happens, I know. You keep repeating it, I will be careful. Johan looked at her with affectionate eyes, and then he said, sorry that I can't go with you. I will wait here. After saying that, he lightly kissed her cheek. Don't forget that I am here for you. Hearing those words, Eureka smiled softly. Be careful, Eureka, Johan said. Scene change, the second Prince Theodore and Miss Sevs were standing and chatting on the balcony in front of a room somewhere. Miss Sevs thought secretly, why is he always so stubborn? Both of them agreed to talk about this later because there were too many people watching. Then she said. So, what do you want to discuss, Your Highness? Prince Theodore replied directly, Eureka Meetist. Sevs was slightly stunned when she heard that name. He continued, the adopted daughter of the Meetist house, you asked for help to get rid of her because she hinders the work of the temple, right? Sevs replied, yes, that's right. He said plainly, the problem is. Why does that girl give the feeling similar to the squirrel spirit that I had a glimpse of before? Sevs froze. She thought secretly, what, so the spirit that was sent to Arad at that time, actually survived and returned to the Meetist house? Prince Theodore continued, since receiving the first complaint, I have requested the temple to return that squirrel spirit. The excitement that I felt at that time, I have never experienced again. But the temple ignored my request, selling the spirit to some mage. And when I tried to demand it back, they said that it had died. As he spoke, he approached her closer, but, Ravena. What if it is still alive? What if that fake girl is actually the real Eureka Meetist, the lost daughter of the Meetist house, who was taken away by the temple? Scene changed to a view from under the tree, looking up, someone was standing there, witnessing and hearing the entire conversation. It was Eureka, she hid behind a branch, her whole body was frozen, she thought secretly, what is this? She couldn't believe what she had just heard. I am the real Eureka Meetist? Second Prince Theodore said, that divine beast, is it actually the direct descendant of the Meetist house? Sevs was stunned, not saying anything, he threatened, you better be honest. If you lie, our cooperation ends here. She was scared, thinking secretly, what should I do now? If I reveal the truth, His Highness will know too much about the secrets of the temple, but if I stop cooperating now, all relations with the royal family will be severed, and that is even worse. The second prince pondered, waiting for her answer. Finally she had to admit, Your Highness's suspicions are correct. However, we have not yet confirmed whether that fake princess is really the squirrel spirit. Thanks to you, it is certain now. The mage's cleansing memory is extremely accurate. Prince Theodore laughed softly and replied, as expected, I can't take my eyes off her. But his eyes turned sharp. How can that divine beast turn into a human? Divine beasts usually don't have a strong desire to transform into human form. At this time, Eureka began to recall, now that he mentioned it. Since waking up in this form, I have always thought about becoming human. Perhaps because I am cursed, that desire is even stronger, as if someone desperately wants me to transform into human form. Suddenly, a thought flashed in the second prince's head, could it be? Is this related to the fact that Duke Medist is also currently in the temple? Eureka was stunned, thinking secretly, what? Sevs replied, it's very possible. Perhaps from the beginning she had no intention of transforming, but when Duke Medist's mana was transmitted in to test the cleansing ability, her subconscious seemed to have awakened. Theodore asked, subconscious? Sevs replied, yes, her subconscious as a human. The other experiments were all accurate, the only variable was the transmission of Duke Medist's mana. That is why the current Eureka Medist is a very dangerous existence. We don't know how much she has remembered. Saying that, Sevs remembered everything at the party just now, she said, even now, look at her. She keeps interfering with everything we do, doesn't she? If we leave her alone, she will become a great threat to the temple. Prince Theodore agreed, well, that's true, but... is there a possibility that she will remember? Sevs was a little surprised, what? He continued, she seems to be quite close to Johann Arad when cleansing him. If she remembers cleansing me, wouldn't she recognize me? Sevs began to feel annoyed with the prince standing in front of her, huh? Is that really what's important right now? That's stupid. She was annoyed because he was rambling about meaningless things. She continued, I can't give you a definite answer right now, but I think we will know soon, right? The second prince replied, okay. This time we will have to come up with a different plan. She completely defeated us today. Do you have any other plans? Sevs thought for a while. Then she replied, we plan to transmit mana again, and conduct an experiment to distort Eureka Medist's perception of time. We will rewind her time back to the original state, so that she can live as an obedient divine beast, without memories. Prince Theodore wondered, I'm curious, why are you so obsessed with transforming the Medist family's divine beast? You can solve the Duke right now, can't you? Is it because that is the most suitable fate for a monster like Medist? Her face became horrified. The second prince pondered for a while. Then he said, now we are really on the same boat, there is no other choice. If the experiment succeeds, this time, be sure to hand the divine beast over to me. Eureka heard not a single word missed. At this time, Johann was standing waiting for her in front of the door. He startled, He saw Eureka running straight into the room. He was a little flustered but still calmly said, I'm glad you came back safely. Nothing happened, right? Eureka, she turned her back to him, her back looking sad. He worried, Eureka, what's wrong? She was silent. Eureka thought secretly, I still can't believe it, the body I am possessing is the body of the real Eureka. The Duke's disappearance, the kidnapping of the Medist family. All were arranged by the temple. If I had not successfully transformed into human form, my family would never know the truth. And now, they are all very precious to me. Those bastards of the temple, what did the Medist house do wrong to have to endure this? Saying that, she covered her face and cried. Suddenly, Johann took the blanket and put it on her. He said, it's quite cold outside, Eureka. It seems that something happened, but if it's something unpleasant, you don't have to say anything. You know, waiting for you here reminds me of the past. At that time every night in the tower, I desperately waited for you like this. I was very worried, wondering what I would do if something happened and I could never see you again. At first, I told myself that I was only doing that to soothe your mana, but at some point, it wasn't just that anymore. I started waiting for you simply because it was you. Whether you are Eureka, Momo, or Kameng, the person you are is precious to me. It is because of you that I was able to endure everything. So, I am happy that you came back safely today, Johann said with affectionate eyes. Making Eureka touched, she softly replied, me too. She swallowed her saliva, thinking secretly, I also want to say the same thing to him. If I was alone, it would be much harder to endure. At that moment, her hand began to glow. She was about to transform back, she thought, having him by my side has given me a lot of strength. Johann blushed when he saw her revealing her true form, because Eureka was only wearing the blanket that he had put on her earlier. He exclaimed, Eureka, ah. She thought secretly, I am grateful for everything, for our reunion, and for him still helping me. She gently raised her hand, as if wanting to hug him. She rushed over and hugged him, thanking him for everything, Johan. She hugged him tightly. He was both happy and shy, his face turning red. Then, he also happily hugged her. Eureka and Johan went to the party together. Remembering when Eureka thanked him, Johan, thank you, it's hard to put it on myself. Johan's face suddenly turned red. People who saw it talked, so young and already, that cunning brat, his face is so red. Eureka was worried, Johan, are you okay? Your face is all red. Johan quickly turned his face away, no, I just feel like a piece of trash. It's nothing, Eureka, let's go. Ravenna peeked at Eureka and Johan, so she's Eureka Meatist. She is really very smart, just like her father. But she would never dream that she is not the real Eureka. She seems to be a person with high self-esteem, and that will make her easier to manipulate than ever. The party began to take place. Eureka saw Muriel from afar, and called, Sister. Muriel startled, Eureka. I don't feel well, so I asked to go back first. Today Eureka had heard too many shocking things, so she was also exhausted. Muriel quickly asked, where does it hurt? Or should we stop by the clinic? Jaden ran over, are you okay, Eureka? Or should I go with you? Eureka looked at the two of them, oh no. Seeing the two of them worrying about her like that made her want to cry even more. Please don't worry. Johan took Eureka's hand, I will escort Eureka back to the residence. Eureka politely said goodbye to everyone, I will go back and rest first, everyone please enjoy yourselves. Then I will entrust her to you, Duke Arad. Eureka, we will be back soon. Eureka and Johan quietly left the party. Eureka, you really don't look well, do you? Perhaps I should have gone with her. With these strange rumors spreading, she must feel very uncomfortable. Even though Eureka said that she was okay, we shouldn't have let those rumors spread. His Highness the Prince Raymond offered a suggestion, if you two are so worried, why not prepare a surprise gift for her? A gift? Everyone is talking about whether the young lady is real or fake, but this will prove that the family cherishes her. That idea is great. Thank you for your offer, Your Highness. But how will she know? Don't worry, Muriel, whatever it is, we will buy it all. I will fund everything. Muriel said admiringly, Uncle, you are so great. So what kind of gift should we splurge on? There is a legend that the ancestors of the Meatist family were beastmen, so how about giving her something symbolic related to beastmen? For example, a statue of a squirrel? Muriel was surprised, squirrel? Why a squirrel? Doesn't she like squirrels? I just remember that I saw an illustration of a squirrel in the section about the Meatist family in a book. Muriel was confused, the section about the Meatist family? What is the name of that book, Your Highness? Raymond continued, it is a book that is not allowed to be taken out of the Emperor's private library, but it is called The Curse on the Noble Families. The Curse on the Noble Families? Eureka had mentioned something like that, right? Even though I can't use magic at all. Muriel remembered that Eureka had absorbed her magic once. Eureka possesses truly extraordinary magic. She said that she was able to transform into human form thanks to Muriel's magic. Muriel always thought those beastmen stories were just legends, so she never really paid attention to them, but now that she thought about it, those books on that topic were strangely missing. Seeing that Muriel wasn't very focused, Jaden said softly, Muriel, we don't have time. Focus, let's forget about the squirrel for now. Let's first plan an event for Eureka. Muriel replied, I understand, Uncle. The Curse of the Meatist House, Squirrel and Eureka. Muriel still didn't understand, always felt that all these things were related to each other. Muriel thought that she should go back and investigate this matter thoroughly. The next day at noon, in Eureka's room, she was drowsily sleeping when the sunlight shone into the room, causing her to wake up, it's too bright. When she heard her mother ask, did you sleep well, Eureka? She startled and sat up, Mother. Her mother said softly, you slept until noon, you must be very tired. Was the party fun yesterday? Looking at her mother, Eureka always felt that she was her real mother, but that was not just a feeling. Her mother didn't mistake her due to any illusions, she had recognized her real daughter from the beginning. Until now, deep in her heart, she still kept a distance from her family, because she was only the one who had taken over this body, not the real Eureka. She was afraid that when the real Eureka appeared, when she had to leave, she would be hurt. But now she would no longer separate herself from Eureka, she would live as the real Eureka, even if it was replacing her position. So from now on, she wouldn't have to feel guilty every time she called her, Mother. Eureka hugged her mother, Mother. Her mother happily hugged Eureka in her arms. And gently stroked Eureka's head, there, good girl. The weather is so beautiful today, how about we have tea with Muriel and Jaden? Muriel said excitedly, that sounds great. I will go and tell my sister and uncle myself. Actually, Eureka wanted to meet them soon. Eureka wanted to tell everyone as quickly as possible that she was the real Eureka. Eureka had just stepped out into the hall. Why is it so noisy outside? Did someone come? She suddenly recognized someone. What? Impossible, that person is. In front of her, a strange girl appeared. Hello. Muriel was shocked and widened her eyes to look at that strange girl. She stepped in and said, I heard that everyone is looking for their lost daughter, so I came here. Everyone was abuzz. That lost daughter? She said that she is the real second young lady? I used to work at the residence of Baron Verini, the female baron told me about this, so I came. She said that I look very similar to Miss Eureka, whom she saw at the party. She told me to come and see. Eureka stood leaning against the corner of the wall. I thought that the temple would attack me again, but I didn't expect them to be so cruel. If I didn't know that I was the real one, I would have been very shaken by this. But the timing is not appropriate at all. Muriel still doesn't know the truth. What if she believes her? Muriel gently asked that girl, what should I call you? The girl was stunned. What? Muriel continued, you must have had a name before, right? Eureka looked at Muriel's expression, quite surprised. What's wrong? Muriel's reaction is completely calm, more than calm, she looks very cold. For the time being, just call me Lizzie. Jaden came out from inside. Muriel? Who came? A person named Lizzie. She works at the residence of Baron Verini. She claims to be Eureka. Lizzie's eyes sparkled. Sorry. I brought this, hoping it can help. When the female baron adopted me, I was told that this was the dress I wore at that time. Jaden looked at the dress, suddenly remembering this. That day, I was on guard duty. I remember very clearly, this outfit, Eureka wore it when she went to the baptism ceremony. The embroidery is definitely done by her sister. Jaden affirmed, this is really Eureka's dress. Oh my god, so she is really the real second young lady? Muriel spoke up, children's clothes can be easily faked. Nothing is certain yet. Moreover, everyone in the Empire knows that our second young lady has been missing for a while, for someone to suddenly appear at this time. I'm sorry for saying these things in front of you. Lizzie replied, no, miss. Muriel invited Lizzie into the living room for easy conversation. It's too noisy here, let's talk in the living room. Seeing the servant asking her, Miss, are you okay? Eureka signaled her to speak quietly. That dress seems to be real. This tactic is really insidious. I have no evidence to prove it's real, so no matter what I say, I will only be like a fake causing trouble. But the fact that they even used children's clothes shows that the temple must be very anxious. If this is overturned into evidence of kidnapping, it will be difficult for them to escape punishment. Before leaving, Eureka instructed the servant, I'll go up first. Don't tell anyone that I saw this, okay? Eureka wanted to see what their next move was. While leading Lizzie into the living room, Jaden secretly looked at Muriel. Muriel's reaction was so calm, it was really beyond expectations. Was it because, like him, she was also worried about Eureka? Thinking back, I wonder how our Eureka is doing. At the same time, Mother came out from inside the room. Muriel. Oh, so this young lady is... Muriel was afraid that if Mother mistook her for Eureka and collapsed again like last time. Muriel quickly said, wait, Mother, this person is, seeing the dress in Lizzie's hand. She interrupted Muriel, impossible. Oh, thank God, I thought I would never find it again. I never expected we would find it this way. Lizzie was overjoyed, thinking Mother had recognized her. Recognized me? Thank you for finding our Eureka's dress, young lady. Hearing that, Lizzie's smile faded, her eyes became sad. What? Sister, do you remember this dress? Of course, this is the dress that our Eureka wore on her baptism day. I embroidered this part myself. Finding our Eureka is much more important, but this dress still has great meaning, so I must reward you properly. Lizzie clutched the dress tightly. Madam, this is the dress I wore when I was young. She said that she had worn this dress. Yes, which means I am the real second young lady. Regardless of what Lizzie said, she coldly continued, then you must be a thief who stole what belonged to our Eureka. Did you come here to steal more? Lizzie was shocked. What? Jaden saw the tense situation, so he quickly stopped them. Let's go to the living room first. Wait, Jaden, why did you let that thief into our residence like that? Muriel then took Mother's hand. Mother, please calm down, I will talk to her privately. That's right, Muriel, it's best to kick her out early, before she steals anything else. Eureka's mood was not good at this time, so she walked and pondered. The atmosphere is really tense. And she asked the servant to prepare some tea. If I didn't know anything, I might have left the residence to escape this tense atmosphere. I need to rest and think about what to do next. Just opening the door, Eureka was surprised. This is... Miss Muriel and Lord Jaden personally decorated until early this morning. Hearing that, Eureka was shocked. Sister and uncle? They did it all themselves? Usually after a party, people will send gifts to those they want to be closer to. But I didn't expect to receive something like this. Eureka opened the letter to read. Eureka, you looked so gorgeous at the party yesterday. We are already close, but let's get even closer. I am always grateful to you. You are our precious family. Never forget that you're family and I will always be by your side. Eureka read the short and emotional lines in the letter. She couldn't hold back her tears, honestly. Even if I am really a fake, I don't want to leave. Thinking about them taking advantage of the kindness of such a good family, and even sending another fake, I will never forgive them. Muriel stood in front of Eureka's door and called out, Eureka, it's me. I have something to tell you, can I come in? Eureka immediately wiped away her tears and invited Muriel in. Yes, come in. It just so happens that I also have something to say. While sitting and drinking tea, Muriel said a few things to Eureka. Eureka, you must have heard about Miss Lizzie, right? You must be very troubled, right? The atmosphere in the residence is also unstable. Eureka quickly replied, no, it's okay, sister, I'm fine. I was going to reveal that I am the real one, but right at that moment. If I say it now, it would be no different from me trying to take that position just because I don't want to be kicked out, and I have no evidence to prove it either. I'm sorry, I didn't intend to bother you with these unnecessary worries. Actually, I came to find you for another reason. Eureka was confused. Another reason? Yesterday I heard about this from His Highness the Prince. In the Royal Secret Library, he said that he had seen a book recording the weaknesses of noble families. A book recording the weaknesses of noble families? This was the first time Eureka had heard of something like that. Eureka then wondered, is that library deep inside the palace? Muriel continued, yes, and in it there is a record of the curse of the Meadist family, and on that page, there is a picture of a squirrel. There is a legend that an ancestor of the Meadist line was a beastman, and you also said that I have a lot of magic energy in my body. Considering all these things, I can't help but wonder if our family is hiding a secret. And if that secret is also related to you. Perhaps we are closer than we think. Of course, I don't have any logical evidence for this, but I just feel that way. Compared to Miss Lizzie, who suddenly appeared and claimed to be real, I feel that you are. Perhaps it's because of emotions, but honestly, I really feel that way, Eureka. Hearing the words Muriel had just said, Eureka felt, they are the same. Just like how Mother trusted me without any evidence, Muriel always puts me first, no matter what the situation. Because we are family, I am sure of that, they will believe me. Eureka shyly said, I also have something to tell you. Eureka pondered and sighed. While Muriel still looked towards Eureka and waited expectantly, seeing the tears rolling down Eureka's cheeks. Muriel felt sorry for her and shed tears as well. She quickly moved closer to Eureka. She hugged Eureka tightly. Those damn bastards. How can they do such things in a place like the temple? They deserve to be eaten by tigers. This is terrible, the height of terrible. Eureka, you must have suffered a lot until now. I am really sorry for not recognizing you sooner. Eureka replied, no, it's okay. I don't have any evidence anyway. But do you really believe me? Muriel then said, of course. Mother must have recognized you for some reason. Eureka smiled happily, thank you for believing in me. Now thinking back. Even when I was still a squirrel, they still understood everything I said. Is all of this because we are a real family? My real family. I will protect them at all costs, and after rescuing Father, I will reveal everything and make sure to make the temple pay for their sins. Sister, I have a plan. This is the perfect opportunity to expose Lizzie as a fake and even trace those behind her. Will you help me? Muriel looked at Eureka, of course. The real second daughter of the Duke Meadist family has returned. Her name is Lizzie Estany, she used to be a maid working at the house of Baron Verini. Is this real? I heard the maid brought the children's clothes that she wore when she was a child. The Duke family even gave her a very beautiful room. So now. It seems that the adopted daughter from the orphanage is causing trouble. Lizzie fell to the floor, the servant cried out worriedly, oh my God, Miss Lizzie. I'm sorry, miss, I will say that I tripped myself. Eureka still didn't understand what Lizzie was saying. What is she talking about? Did she really fall on her own? What's going on? Don't tell me it's Miss Eureka. Hearing those heartbreaking words. Eureka quietly left. Looking at the pitiful Eureka, Lizzie was very satisfied. That evening, at the residence. Eureka sadly sat reading a book. Suddenly, there was someone crying outside the window, making it impossible for her to concentrate on reading. What's that? Why do I hear someone crying in the middle of the night? Everyone is gathered here, what happened? A servant rushed over to report, Miss. The children's clothes that Miss Lizzie brought suddenly disappeared, and we found them like this in the flower bed. That was the only thing that helped her confirm her real family. Eureka looked at the clothes, that outfit. Before I could use it as evidence, I was planning to get it back because it was originally mine. Did they really have to go this far? Lizzie sobbed, scolding Eureka, Miss, this is the path that you often walk on, right? I can't believe you would do this just because you don't like me, that's too cruel. Miss Lizzie, you shouldn't make unfounded accusations without evidence like that. Seeing everyone looking at her, as if she was the one who committed the crime. Those eyes were clearly different than before. Eureka felt sorry for her family, but in this situation, Eureka couldn't stay here any longer. The next morning, at Johann's residence, the car had taken Eureka here very early. Hearing that Eureka had come, Johann quickly went down to meet her. Eureka, how did you? Eureka smiled, I ran away from home. So, I was wondering if I could stay here for a few days? Ran away from home? That's right. Judging from his expression, he seems really surprised. I also guessed that this was quite shocking. I had to pretend that I left the residence in a fit of rage because of Lizzie, so I couldn't contact him beforehand. No matter how close the two of them are, for me, this is definitely a bit impolite. Eureka politely said, sorry for barging into your house like this. I had to leave in a hurry because of some things. I won't stay long, just a few days. A few days? You can stay forever if you want. Stay as long as you like. I can give you any room in Hired. Eureka then replied, thank you for saying that, Johann. I mean it sincerely. Is that really our Duke? Perhaps it's time for me to retire. Really? Who is that really? While sitting and eating with Johann, Eureka felt very happy. It had been a long time since she had eaten here again. This was also where she first met her sister, it was a place full of memories, so it felt strange. Johann spoke up, honestly. Before you came, I had considered whether I should storm into Midas myself. I tried to hold back, thinking that you might have a plan. I can deal with a fraud like her at any time. With all the commotion in the capital, there was no way Johann wouldn't have heard about Lizzie. He definitely knew that she had even brought the children's clothes she used to wear when she was kidnapped, yet he still believed her? Eureka looked at Johann and asked. Don't you think about the possibility that I might be an imposter? What if everything I said in the carriage at the last party was a lie? What if I was just trying to stay in Midas, and made up what Ravenna and the second prince said? Eureka thought to herself, perhaps he only accepted me because of our past connection and felt that he had no other choice. If this situation made him uncomfortable, but he was too kind to refuse me. No matter what you say, I will still believe you. I have told you before, you are really precious, so don't say things that hurt yourself, and if you feel guilty for being a burden, don't think that way. I have been waiting all this time, waiting for the day when you and I can be together like this. Now that she thought about it, back in Hired, Johann and she always had to meet secretly, even when they said goodbye, everything was always rushed. She never thought there would be a day like this. Eureka shyly said, thank you, Johann. But was it really Muriel Midas who kicked you out? If not, then you have no reason to be so shy. You call them family, yet they didn't even recognize you and kicked you out. It must be so. Knowing that Johann completely misunderstood the situation, Eureka quickly explained, no, it's not like that. Actually, my sister and I planned this. But for that to succeed, I needed to leave the Midas territory first, and once I was out, I needed a safe place to stay. And the only place I could think of was where you are, Hired. Johann heard that, feeling happy in his heart, the only safe place for her is by my side? That's a great idea. Believe me, Eureka, I will protect you forever. Eureka continued, that's right, Johann, can I ask you for another favor? I left in too much of a hurry so I didn't bring any luggage. So, can you lend me some clothes? Even a maid's uniform is fine, I will definitely repay you later. Johann was silent for a moment and said. I wasn't planning to show you this, but seeing you feeling so guilty makes me feel bad. Johann immediately led Eureka there. Eureka was stunned, this is luxurious women's clothing. Johann continued, Eureka, no matter when you come or how you come, I will always be ready to welcome you. Luxurious squirrel nest. So, do you feel a little more comfortable now? Eureka thought secretly, like this, I might live here forever. It's really not necessary to go this far. Let me stay in Miss Eureka's room, of all places. There was no other way. No matter how hard we tried to stop her, she still left. She must be very proud. Honestly, if it were me, I would never leave a house like this. And I'm sure I was a bit annoying, but did it have to be to the point that she got angry and left like that? Every time I pretended to trip, she would step on my foot. And every time she passed by, she would bump into my shoulder. Was she really treated that badly? Well, since she's gone anyway, it doesn't matter anymore. So, I'm thinking of giving her this place too. Seeing it strange, Lizzie wondered, this place is, Muriel then said, Eureka's garden. Right next to Muriel's garden. Father had them built, believing that his daughters might need private space. Eureka always wanted this place, but since she's not here, I'll secretly give it to you. From now on, let's get along well. Yes, sister, then I will feel free to chat. From now on, I will be your little sister. I will gradually get used to that. Damn it, just how many positions has that woman taken in this place? The Duchess is always wary of me. And that guy called Uncle pretends to care, but still doesn't admit that I am real. Or is it because I haven't been here for long? But looking at all these things, it feels like they will like me soon. And Muriel is known to be weak, which makes her easier to deceive. The temple told me to come back because they had kicked Eureka out. The kind and gentle older sister, an incredibly wealthy uncle, countless jewelry, and a luxurious room. If I can get them to recognize me as real, I can have all these things, right? And perhaps even Duke Hyrule. There's no way I'm letting things end here. I need to find something that can be used to negotiate and get the temple's approval. I will become the real Eureka Metist. At the residence of the second Prince Theodore. When he heard the report that Eureka was at Johan's house, Theodore was stunned. What? The second Prince Theodore's subordinate explained confusedly, it's because of that girl who claims to be the second daughter. It seems that she ran away to her lover's house because she couldn't control her anger. Theodore was angry, thinking secretly, Ravenna, do you think I cooperated with your plan to create this mess? After that, he ordered his subordinate, send a letter to Duke Arad immediately. Surprising him, a letter? Theodore said in a stern voice, inform them that I will be visiting soon. Scene change, Eureka and Johann were walking together in the garden. She thought, looking back, I have spent most of my time here living as a squirrel. Apart from changing the servants, it doesn't seem to be much different than before. Ah, except for an important change, the owner of this residence. Eureka recalled, back then. I never thought about walking side by side with Johann like this. After thinking, she quietly turned to look at him. Then she asked, Johann, you're not in as much pain as before, right? Her sudden question surprised him. He gently replied, oh, I'm okay. I still have some sedatives from the battlefield. And this is the only thing that helps me stay calm. Saying that, he held her hand, surprising her. She was shy, not understanding what he meant. He continued, it's weaker than when you were in divine beast form, but I can still feel a little bit of peace. Eureka blushed, flustered to the point of speaking incoherently, you can be calm even when you are in human form? That's amazing. She suddenly realized something, could it be? Is that why Theodore recognized me as a divine beast when both hands touched each other? But in the books about divine beasts, it says that to achieve a strong soothing effect, closer physical contact is needed. Johann said, actually, this level of contact only has a very small effect. Eureka replied, I know. He continued, actually, I haven't been using sedatives lately, perhaps that's why I feel like this. She panicked, exclaiming, what? Why aren't you using them? He silently looked at her affectionately. He was really happy that she was worried about him like this. Eureka thought secretly, the sedatives are made by the temple after all. Johann is now completely on my side, so the temple probably wants to eliminate him too. The easiest way to eliminate him is to add something to the sedatives, distribute them to Arad. She then pulled her hand back, saying coldly, so in the end, it's all because of me. Johann said worriedly, don't think like that, Eureka. Anyway, I was planning to destroy the temple as soon as the war ended. They tried to give me terrible drugs, I have no intention of relying on those guys for the rest of my life. I will never forget what they did to me. His eyes gradually turned sharp when he mentioned the temple, but when he saw her, those eyes softened. Eureka was very worried about him. He gently touched her hair and said, of course, I will also never forget what you have done for me. The soothing feeling you brought me the first time is still very clear in my mind. That is why I kept thinking about it on the battlefield. He thought secretly, I will never let you go. He silently looked at Eureka in front of him, she called him, Johann. He said, anyway, I'm okay, Eureka. Perhaps because I have fully grown up, it's not as painful as when I was a child anymore. She still couldn't rest assured, even so. From now on, whenever we are together, I will help you calm down, and I will try my best to help when in Arad. You have no right to refuse. His eyes were filled with happiness when he heard her say that. He softly replied, then, I'm counting on you, Eureka. There was rustling in the bushes nearby. It turned out to be the maids in the Arad house. One maid whispered, "Didn't they say that the fake noble is a fox?" The maid next to her replied softly, "Yes, I heard that too. But isn't it clear that our duke is the real fox?" They thought that because they had heard the conversation between the two people. Johann asked, "Then can I hold your hand when we take a walk?" Eureka replied calmly, "Of course. Just hold it." The maids continued to whisper, "No matter how you look at it, the person who is trying to impress the other party here is the duke. Why do I feel like an innocent girl has just stepped into the lair of a dangerous beast herself? Anyway, it seems that the rumors have been blown out of proportion, so there shouldn't be any problems." Eureka suddenly saw something familiar. She asked, "This swing is still here?" Johann replied, "Swing?" She said, "Yes, back then, Tezen liked me very much, he often pushed me on it." Johann was stunned. Suddenly, murderous intent rose from him. Ah, so this swing contains memories with Tezen. Taking advantage of Eureka not paying attention, he unleashed magic. The swing broke in half. The maid standing in the distance froze. "Huh?" Eureka turned to ask him, "Did you hear something?" To distract her, he pointed in another direction and said, "It's just that some areas in the garden are being fixed. Let's go that way." She was still naive, not knowing anything, and happily said, "Besides, whenever guests come, Tezen will take them here to show off about me." As soon as Eureka turned her back, the chair had been destroyed by Johann's magic. The maids witnessed the scene once again, so they were a little scared. Eureka was still completely unaware, continuing to tell Johann, "That statue, Tezen often mocked it, saying that it was no different from me. So the statue also flew away." She was still rambling happily, "This hazelnut tree is where Tezen asked the servants to pick hazelnuts for me." She still hadn't stopped talking about her memories with Tezen. "And this is where Tezen," continuous sounds of destruction rang out. The maids were extremely frightened. They thought secretly, "Oh no, if the duke and that person can't be together, then there will be a disaster. Someone please make sure that nothing comes between them." Right at that moment, Eureka and Johann stopped. In front of them was an uninvited guest, the second Prince Theodore. He said, "Young Lady Meetist, what a pleasant surprise to see you here." Eureka replied, "Greetings, Your Highness. What brings you to Duke Arad's residence?" Johann was surprised behind her. "Why you?" The second prince slowly walked over to her and said, "Actually, I came to meet you, Young Lady Meetist. You left a deep impression at the party." Johann showed discomfort. "I'm afraid you should refrain from saying such things in front of her lover." He replied, "I'm just being polite, why are you being so defensive? Anyway, Young Lady Meetist, if staying at your house is so difficult, you can come to the royal palace." She gently refused, "If I stay as a guest of Your Highness, your fiancé will definitely not be happy." Theodore pondered, "Fiancé, huh? Well, that's how it is for now, but that engagement is fake anyway, just like your fake relationship." Johann was stunned by those words. So was Eureka. Eureka was stunned. What? He just bluntly revealed that their engagement was fake? Despite exposing such a big secret, Theodore's face was still calm, even with a hint of smugness. Johann immediately pulled Eureka closer, hugging her as if to shield her, his voice cold. "I don't understand what you are talking about. Why would we have to pretend to be a couple?" Johann's eyes turned sharp. Theodore thought secretly, "This person, according to Eureka, he is a mage. For some reason, he has been making things difficult for me from the beginning, and I don't like the way he keeps hanging around Eureka." Johann showed his discomfort. "You are being too rude. If there is nothing else, please leave." The second prince smiled calculatingly, and then said, "So you guys want to play a game like that? Then why don't you prove it right in front of me? Why don't you try kissing each other?" The atmosphere in the palace froze. Eureka immediately went crazy in her heart. This crazy bastard, who does he think he is, demanding a kiss here? Theodore provoked them. "See, you guys can't do it." Eureka thought more and more angrily, "Even if we were real lovers, why would we have to kiss in front of you?" But Theodore still didn't stop. He moved closer to Eureka, saying, "And besides, if you need a fake lover title, wouldn't being the fiancé of a prince be more useful than a war hero with no political backing?" Saying that, he lightly touched her, making Eureka immediately uncomfortable. Johann couldn't take it anymore. He immediately brushed Theodore's hand away, his voice lowered, full of threat. "Well, would it really be useful? Before that happens, I won't let the prince survive." Johann's eyes flashed with magical light, a thick murderous aura emanating from his body. Eureka stood beside him, extremely worried. She thought, Johann's mana is fluctuating, if this continues, things will get out of control. So she had to speak up, anyway. I don't understand why you have such a misunderstanding, but Johan and I are real lovers. And to prove it with a kiss, isn't that very ridiculous? While saying that, she gently intertwined her hand with Johan's. If they wanted to. Then they could still easily pretend. Her proactive action made Johan immediately blush. Of course, everything between me and Johan is real. She smiled gently and lightly kissed Johan's hand. Johan's face was now completely red with embarrassment. Theodore angrily said, "Miss, enough." Eureka said, "I don't care if you don't believe us. I didn't know that your highness had such a strange hobby, wanting to see the affectionate scenes of couples. But we don't have such a lewd hobby." With those words, Eureka wrapped her arms around Johan, pressing herself against his chest. "So please leave. We want to spend this private time alone." Theodore turned green with anger. Scene change, Prince Theodore got into the carriage to prepare to return to the royal palace. He was angry, thinking secretly, "Damn it, I actually helped them. Just a little contact and he looked like he was going crazy. If they do anything more in private, then. Eureka Metist, when you come to the royal palace, I will make sure you receive the royal seal immediately, so you will never be able to leave the palace again." Lost in his anger and plan of possession, something hit Theodore's head. He turned around sharply, going crazy. "What? Who dares?" That person threw continuously at the prince. He looked down, the thing rolling at his feet was several acorns. Theodore looked up to see who threw it, holding the acorn in his hand, preparing to throw it back in revenge. "Damn it, what the hell?" His frowning face froze, he recognized something. Acorn? It seems he knew who threw it. Scene change inside the Duke Arad residence. Johan stood waiting for Eureka. As soon as he saw her return, he said, "You're back?" She happily smiled smugly. "Yes, I got my revenge." Johan's face was still red with embarrassment from what had happened earlier, but he still didn't forget to praise her. "Well done. After what he just did, he deserved it." She nodded firmly. "Exactly." Eureka suddenly became serious, looking at him hesitantly. "I'm sorry about what happened just now, okay? I have my reasons, but I must have made you uncomfortable." Johan said awkwardly, "No way, how could I be uncomfortable about that?" She still felt bad, but, anyway, I touched my lips to your hand without your permission. He then replied, "I agree." She was surprised. "Huh?" He continued, "I agree with everything you do, Eureka." "Oh right, should I write an official statement about this? I, Johan Arad, officially declare that I agree with all actions of Eureka Metist." Before his ridiculously serious look, Eureka was stunned. She really didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Johan. She thought secretly, he shouldn't say such things so casually. Scene change, Lizzie was standing alone in the garden, her eyes flashing with calculation. She thought, on the other side is Muriel's garden. Earlier, I saw the prince go in this direction. If I'm lucky, I can eavesdrop on their conversation. She smiled cunningly, muttering to herself, "Now, I don't need to worry about being eavesdropped on anymore." She could hear them. It turned out that Lizzie was hiding behind the thick leaves to eavesdrop on the conversation between Prince Raymond and Miss Muriel. She thought secretly, they even brought that genius Dr. Renat, this must be a very important matter. Suddenly, Renat spoke up, "Your Highness the Prince. The symptoms you mentioned earlier are all caused by the Yarla flower." The prince wondered, "What is the Yarla flower?" Renat replied, "Yes, they are often used to create purple dyes. They only bloom in the western desert, so they are very rare in the palace. However, you are severely allergic to them. Even a small amount mixed in the dye can cause confusion and disorientation. If you drink Yarla tea, you may temporarily lose consciousness and be paralyzed." The prince replied, "I understand. Then I must be especially careful of anything purple when outside." Muriel stood beside him, her face full of worry. Prince Raymond instructed Renat, "It's best to keep this a secret." "Can I trust you to keep this a secret?" Renat replied, "Yes, of course, Your Highness." At this time, Lizzie had heard their entire conversation. She trembled with joy, thinking secretly, the prince's weakness. The chief priest's biggest enemy is the prince, and now I have grasped his weakness. Perhaps. If I use this method, I can eliminate both the prince and Muriel, gain the temple's approval, and become the sole heir of Metist. Her face was full of ambition and madness. At the residence the next morning, Eureka was in the hallway when Blue Hair called her back. "Miss. So you're here. What's wrong?" He said that Earl Albert had come to visit her and was waiting in the living room. "Uncle?" Eureka was a little surprised. "I'll go there now." In her heart, Eureka suddenly thought, yesterday Theodore stopped by, and now another person is here. Eureka looked remorseful and said softly, "I'm sorry." Because I am here as a guest, it must be troublesome to have so many guests visiting because of me, right? No, Blue Hair quickly denied it. He put on a very radiant look. Please stay as long as you like. That way, this peace will last even longer. Scene change, at Jaden's place. He was adjusting his hairstyle while worrying about Duke Arad storming into Medeste without notice. He had scolded him very harshly. Does that mean that I have also become an inconsiderate guest? Amidst the storm, Eureka rushed to him. As soon as the door opened, her flustered appearance immediately appeared. Uncle. Jaden turned around when he heard the movement. What brings you here? Before she could finish speaking, Jaden hugged Eureka. Eureka, are you still well? I was very worried about you. I also understand why you chose to leave home. Her eyes absolutely lit up. But then went out because of the next words, the matter of knocking Lizzie down and making her cry. I can understand why you acted so aggressively. Jaden then released Eureka. After that he said, honestly, if it were me, I would have done worse. Don't say that, Uncle. If you keep defending me like this, I will be spoiled. He replied, I know better than anyone that you wouldn't do something for no reason. That's why I said that. Eureka seemed to understand the good intentions from her uncle. The smile on her lips brightened accordingly. Thank you for saying that, Uncle. Shall we sit down and talk? The two of them then went into the room. The conversation then rose. Jaden opened his mouth. I have wanted to have a private conversation with you for a long time. But I have never had the opportunity. Eureka felt that what he said was somewhat true. She recalled that when she was still at Medeste, Lizzie kept clinging to Jaden like crazy, so she couldn't even talk to Jaden properly before leaving. Back to reality, Jaden continued, since His Highness came, the residence has become noisy, so I sneaked away. Saying that. If you feel uncomfortable returning to Medeste, then why not come to the Albert Manor with me? Before this offer, Eureka absolutely froze. Jaden told her to treat it as a short vacation and stay at the manor for a while, and she could also feel more comfortable after staying there. Speaking of this, Jaden became restless. I can't help but feel uneasy when you stay in this wolf den. If my brother-in-law saw this scene, he would have challenged him to a duel immediately. Eureka smiled faintly. What's wrong with Johan, Uncle? Uncle, you know how great Johan is. He even welcomed and took care of me even though I suddenly appeared. Jaden hesitated to reply. It's just. I don't like any man getting close to my niece. All men are wolves, except for me and my brother-in-law. Yet you are living under the same roof as a wolf for several days. I have cherished you since you were a child, how dare he? Hearing that, Eureka was even more relieved, because even though Lizzie had come, Jaden still saw her as his niece. After a few seconds, Eureka smiled softly. Thank you for caring, Uncle. We are family, so of course I have to care. Eureka continued, Uncle, have you ever thought about the possibility that Lizzie is fake? This question immediately made the entire space shrouded in silence. Not until a few minutes later did Jaden stammer, this matter. His expression completely changed, that set of infant clothes. Seeing Jaden's attitude, Eureka had the answer for herself. I knew it. Sister knows I am a divine beast, so she can easily understand the situation immediately, but Uncle doesn't know that. It's not yet time to tell him. At this moment, Jaden clenched his fist again. He said, but if that child is really fake, I will find out where that set of infant clothes came from and will definitely make that person pay. Jaden's eyes suddenly sharpened. Enough for Eureka to feel amazed. Her cheeks flushed red. Thank you, Uncle. In a while, I will tell you everything honestly. Jaden changed the subject and asked Eureka, then how long do you plan to stay here? Perhaps until Johan's victory celebration at the temple? Is that in 3 days? Okay then I will tell you a question. Even if you stay here, you don't need to bow your head to that duke. I will cover all your living expenses, several times over if necessary. This lavish abundance made Eureka feel more disgusted than interested. She gave a faint smile and reassured Jaden, don't worry, Uncle. Anyway, I'm about to go home. Scene change, Blue Hair was at Johan's place and praised him for the incident yesterday. With your unstable energy, it's a miracle that the residence didn't collapse. Even the hallway was shaking. I thought the whole building was about to explode. If His Highness was injured, that would be a disaster. Although mages are not allowed to use magic against royalty, what if the ceiling collapsed and he was injured? Johan didn't seem to care about this blabbermouth much. He interrupted, why make such a fuss? Even without magic, I can still throw him out the window. Duke, you are really... After a sigh, Blue Hair struggled to say, anyway, the repair of the residence has been completed. And it's all thanks to Miss Eureka calming everything down, right? Johan immediately startled. The image of Eureka faintly appeared in his head. Then he suddenly became shy, making blue hair confused. Should I escort Miss here after the guests leave? No, if I meet her now, I won't be able to restrain myself. These words made blue hair even more suspicious. Seriously, what the heck is going on? Johan instructed, tell Eureka, meet me at the tower tonight. And make sure no one comes near. That night, Eureka in her spirit beast form skillfully climbed on the branches because she accidentally overheard a conversation. He wants me to go to the tower? I promised to help him calm down when I'm here, he must have called me for that. It's a good thing I brought a lot of medicine, anyway, my soothing effect is better when I'm in divine beast form. After landing, Eureka suddenly discovered something. This is. He hopes I will climb these stairs? And what is that drawing? Johan, what exactly did you prepare? Eureka climbed up the stairs arranged by Johan with a skeptical attitude. In her heart, she was very satisfied. Sure enough, having stairs is much easier. I don't need to try to stretch like before. Thinking about him having done this much to make things easier for her, she would also try her best to help him calm down. Johan, Eureka quickly passed each step. Until she climbed to the top of the tower. Johan immediately noticed the movement. He gently walked to the window. Come in, Eureka. He stroked Eureka with great love. You came in squirrel form? Eureka couldn't speak human language, so she only made a few sounds, expressing that she had to help Johan calm down. After that, she even waved her hands and feet to urge Johan. Johan muttered, also a good choice. Good choice? He glanced at Eureka softly, and then tilted his head next to her. Then, I'm counting on you. Eureka then touched Johan as a habit. The divine beast ability was immediately activated. What is this? The energy is more unstable than I imagined, he must be in a lot of pain to endure until now. But, does the healing ability really work? When I healed him when he was young, his expression relaxed immediately. But at this time it doesn't seem to have much effect. Seeing Johan constantly looking at her, Eureka was very curious. Why are you looking at me so intently? Because you are very beautiful, really very beautiful, Eureka. Whether in human form, or as a squirrel. Why are all aspects of you so wonderful? Eureka suddenly felt that something was wrong. Isn't he supposed to be concentrating right now? The healing process isn't over yet. Yet Johan kissed her hand. You shouldn't be so adorable in other places. No, even when you are standing still, you are already very beautiful, so it's best that you don't go anywhere. Eureka suddenly thought, what's wrong today? He's acting so shy. Thinking, she looked down below again. What's wrong? If I absorb more, will I transform back into human form? Eureka thought secretly, if I turn into human form at this time, it will be troublesome. Suddenly Johan picked her up again. Well done, Eureka. He placed Eureka on the soft bed that he often lay on. This made her very excited and run around. It's been a long time, and this room too. Eureka patted the mattress hard. Johan, lie down here and rest for a bit. It really feels like the old days, right? He indulged Eureka, lying obediently next to her. Eureka began to ponder, based on today's situation, he really needs to rest. He will need soothing every day for a period of time. I will come again in squirrel form tomorrow. Johan unconsciously stared at Eureka again. Eureka, let me advise you on this. Don't give an ambitious mage any reason. Otherwise, next time, he will want even more. You can't imagine how relieved I was when you needed me, and how happy it is to be able to be entwined with you forever, no matter what happens. So, whenever you need me, just say a word. I will do everything, just as long as you are by my side, Eureka. With those words, Johan caressed her body again with his calloused hands. Only to see Eureka muttering, a strange feeling suddenly appeared in her. What is this? The time, the place, the person, everything is like before, but something has changed. Right? The atmosphere has changed. Lean had warned her many times that a mage's obsession with a divine beast is something beyond imagination. Theodore had become obsessed with her after just one soothing, so what about Johan, who had been soothed countless times? Is that why he acted as if they were lovers even when it wasn't necessary? The reason he treats me so specially. Why he was secretly trying to seduce me. Just like a mage craving a divine beast, does he want me in that way too? If that was the reason for his obsession with me, I should have felt disgusted, like I did with Theodore, but strangely, Eureka's heart still beat strongly because of Johan. In her imagination, Eureka suddenly transformed into human form in Johan's arms. She looked at Johan in surprise. But his gentle eyes still didn't change. Eureka, no matter what path you choose to take, don't hesitate, and take advantage of me as much as you want, and then just leave me where I belong. Right next to you. Her hands intertwined in confusion. I don't understand his emotions, or even my emotions for him. Is this just the fondness that I have always had for him? Or have I started to look at him in a different way? But now, when needing to solve everything with the temple, such thoughts are too luxurious. Eureka looked at Johann blankly. Once everything is over, I will create distance between us and think about it seriously. Her strange expression quickly made Johann suspicious. What are you thinking about? Currently, Eureka was still fascinated by his aura. It would not be easy to leave this face, but first of all, everything needed to go according to plan. She didn't know if Raymond had handled everything properly yet. Scene change, at the royal palace. In the council meeting, Raymond began to put forward his argument. I believe everyone here knows about the temple distributing divine beasts in the past. At that time, the territory of Duke Arad received one, bestowed to Tezin Arad. Although the current duke has much more outstanding magic power, the chosen one was his younger brother, who doesn't even have magic to qualify. Because this is related to Duke Arad, a hero of the empire, I believe that we should investigate whether there are any problems in the distribution of divine beasts. The meeting quickly became lively with many opinions, but that happened a long time ago. They don't sell divine beasts anymore, right? That's right. Moreover, there are more urgent national issues. Let's go back to the capital reconstruction plan that we discussed last time. Hidden behind that sullen face were Raymond's plans. As expected, because the matter had been resolved many years ago, they tried to brush it off. But that doesn't matter. Just as long as the mention of the divine beast reaches the ears of the chief priest, that is what is important. On the day of the temple's restoration ceremony, Johann had arrived early because he was looking forward to this moment. Suddenly from behind, Johann heard someone calling him, Duke Arad. It turned out to be His Highness the Prince. He said that this was the first time they had met since the victory celebration. I have heard the news. My sister-in-law has been staying at your place for a while, right? Sister-in-law? I mean Miss Eureka. Perhaps because she had saved his sister and become the prince's sister-in-law. He smiled softly. My fiancée, Muriel, has been very worried about her. Johann then realized that this was a conversation between brothers-in-law, so he was a little embarrassed. Raymond continued, so how is my sister-in-law doing lately, Eureka? Just as he was about to answer, Johann saw Theodore from afar. The four eyes met like love rivals. Please don't worry, Your Highness. Eureka is very comfortable and happy, she is enjoying her time in Arad. The words he had just spoken made Theodore extremely jealous. That's great. If you need anything related to her, don't hesitate to contact me. In his heart, Raymond was very eager because today, if everything went smoothly, he would be able to marry Muriel right after. At this time, Partre came to him, Your Highness. It has been a long time since we met. High Priest Partre. I'm glad to see that you are still healthy. This year's ceremony is almost the same as before, so I came to guide you. Normally, the royal family will lead the procession, but because this is a restoration ceremony, I think it would be best if Duke Arad and Raymond were at the front. Before this suggestion, Raymond agreed and told Arad to leave first. As soon as they left, Partre showed a sly smile. Scene change, at Daisy Village, a small village on the outskirts of the capital, located on the road from the palace to the temple. Patients with Rev disease were living here. Rev disease causes spots on the skin and makes movement difficult. Moreover, it is very easy to spread among malnourished people, so the patients had to live in isolation and receive care from volunteer medical staff. Before arriving at the temple, the royal family often stopped by the village to encourage the patients and help them. At the same time, the royal army arrived at the place. However, Johann said that he would wait here, making the others very confused. He explained that because this was a royal ceremony, but he was not a member of the royal family, so he would stay here with the guards and ensure the security of the route. Johann added, this is a traditional event that is usually only attended by the royal family and the high priests, so it would not be appropriate for me to participate. Raymond also agreed with the explanation from Johann. I understand. Then we will meet later. Johann immediately went into action, commanding, all right, everyone to your assigned positions. Yes, sir. At this time, he noticed that many eyes were watching him. 3 young boys and girls appeared in the bushes nearby. They said softly to each other, is that the war hero? It seems so. I heard that he is a jerk, but he is a super powerful mage. He's more handsome than I thought. I thought he would look like a rogue. These words reached Johann's ears. Apart from smiling awkwardly, there was nothing more he could do. At this time, the kids were wondering about Johann's strangely bulging pocket. That's right, is that his pectoral muscle? Johann couldn't hide his embarrassment, making the kids even more curious. It's not even hot yet, but his face is suddenly blushing. In fact, Eureka was inside the pocket and had also heard everything from the kids. She immediately reacted, pectoral muscle? What are these kids talking about? Johan immediately asked, Eureka, are you okay? Is it hard to breathe? Everyone could see Eureka, so she needed to adjust her position a little. But the constant wiggling made Johan even more embarrassed. It might be a little uncomfortable, but please try to endure a little longer. It won't be long now. Once today is over, the business in the temple will also be ruined. Half an hour later, Raymond left the room after visiting the patients. He said to Partre, it seems that there is only one more building to check over there. Yes, let's go, Your Highness. Because this is the last stop, I will personally accompany you. Then Raymond allowed Partre to follow behind without noticing that his expression had changed. Raymond, he mentioned the divine beast in the council meeting, huh? He has been finding all sorts of ways to reduce the power of the temple, and now he is interested in it. This time everything was overlooked, but if Raymond starts investigating again, and he discovers the curse of Medeste, then that will be the end of the temple. Partre must stop that before it is too late. They had arrived at the last room. After the door was opened, the female patient was very surprised when Raymond personally came here. It's okay, just lie down and rest comfortably. After checking, Raymond then said, perhaps the bed sheets should be changed. Partre was absent-mindedly behind, as if looking for an opportunity. The female patient took the bag of cookies next to her pillow, and said softly, thank you for your kindness, Your Highness. It's nothing much, but please accept this. I baked these cookies myself during the recovery period. Raymond happily took the bag of cookies, thank you, I'm also starting to feel a little hungry. Unexpectedly, from behind, Partre had been looking at him with a terrifying gaze. According to Lizzie, the Yarla flower was Raymond's greatest weakness. The terrifying conspiracy was gradually revealed. When baking the cookies, Partre had put a lot of Yarla flower petals in them. If that information was true, the toxicity would take effect immediately. Raymond slowly put a piece of the cookie in his mouth and enjoyed it. After that, he praised the female patient, these cookies are really delicious, thank you very much. Before he could finish speaking, Raymond's body began to show strange signs. A feeling of death began to spread throughout his body. It seemed that the poison had penetrated. Only to see Raymond collapse to the floor. A sinister smile began to appear. Partre laughed like a madman, just imagine, it could be so easy. High Priest, ah. He took off the mask along with a steel knife. You will give me the promised reward once I prove my innocence, right? Of course, don't worry. However, once the others find Raymond's body, this dagger will be what you hid, and because you gave him the cookies, you will be accused of killing Raymond. Unexpectedly, Partre had also hidden another knife under the female patient's pillow. To make the plan perfect. I've had enough. Now, please return to God's arms, Raymond. Partre raised the knife high, preparing to deliver the final blow. Unfortunately, in just a moment, he was surrounded by the attendants. Confused eyes began to appear, what's going on? Only to see Raymond grab the hand holding the weapon. High Priest Partre, you are under arrest for conspiracy to assassinate the royal family.